I'ma keep singing because it's what I do, because it's how I made my character through.
Oh, you can hear us? Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
Weird. I don't know what my phone's being weird.
But yes.
But basically, it was something about the fact that the super mutants, are so unique, so different in this world. They're humanoid, but also too, they have, different types of skin, if it's greenish or ashen or whatever. They're large, they have these mutations. It's something about, like, I also too, I'm, because of the fact that going back to my childhood of loving X-Men and the mutants and people who are different, and being someone who is of mixed race. And so I understand, I guess, that whole aspect of trying to fit in or not belonging somewhere. I was kind of drawn naturally to the super mutants because I am a fan of mutants in general. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of bring light to, like, what would it be like to have been through this experience of being experimented on and going through these changes, and especially if you did go through them at an early age, and especially if you were made for a purpose that you didn't ask to be here, but you are. So how do you kind of go through that? And then also too, dealing with a lot of, I don't know why, I just wanted to focus on also two things that sometimes people steer away from, like PTSD and that kind of, if there's abuse, and how does someone overcome these different things that haunt them on the daily. And I was thinking about these things because I feel like it's not because of the fact that it's kind of, something that people usually are shying away from, that kind of needed to be put to the forefront a little bit. And, for people to feel like seen in a way, even though it's fantasy, it's still, the world of Fallout is still very much like, hey, what if that could actually technically happen? Like, how would we handle these different scenarios? And so I did want to kind of make it a little bit more real, even though there is that fantasy aspect of it, sort of. But that was kind of my focus, is kind of trying to build this character and having her go through, like, many transformations and many changes throughout the course of the campaign. And I felt like I wanted to try to have that type of complex character, so then that way people who were watching could see the growth, because I feel like we all have gone through that in life, where we might have been, more introverted. I know, like, I used to be super introverted, and I became extroverted through performing arts and dance and things. And so just kind of seeing that and being able to be like, yeah, like, oh yeah, like, okay, even if you didn't go through the extreme parts of Ash's backstory, which hopefully you guys have not been experimented on in a vault, at least that there's a connection there that people could make. And I really, I think that I wasn't even fully prepared to play this character all the way through. But I'm so glad that we got the opportunity to see it all the way through, because I absolutely loved going on that journey as Ash. It was amazing. So thank you so much for trusting me with such a complex character. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I loved it when you first came to me and we were talking about it. We like sat down and we were talking about, like, what it was going to be. I remember when you were talking about it's going to be kind of like a hybrid super mutant, and I was like, I freaking love that. Like, I don't think I've seen, because they're in Fallout, there's intelligent super mutants. And there are, for the most part, super mutants are the bad guys, but there are some good ones, and there are some intelligent ones. But I had never really seen a hybrid super mutant in the games, and so that's more human than super mutant. And I really, really liked that. That you were thinking about that and playing off that. And I was like, okay, well, how would that fit in the world, and why? And so I really liked playing with that, because it was something different.
And I think also, to just adding really quickly, just also too, because I feel like there's also too a stereotype that comes with these types of characters that are like big and brutish, like people instantly feel like they're the villain or the bad guy. and I wanted to show that there was a reason why she was so hardened, but there was, like she's a tsundere at heart, like she's like secretly squishy, but she just hides it. So I was like, I wanted to play up that whole aspect of like, hey, like, just like how I feel like orcs in D&D are sometimes vilified for no reason. I think orcs are pretty freaking cool, and half orcs do. Just highlighting that, and we want to try to steer away from some of the stereotypes that sometimes comes along with these characters.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, Peggy's first impression of Ash was not hardened. It was like, damn, she built like a brick house.
Marcus's might have been.
That's approved. That's approved. Guys, save lives, guys.
Yes. Okay. What about you, Jay? What about Sugar and
hashtag player Bible?
And yes, and if you want to talk about your other character, you certainly can.
So it's admittedly, Sugar is actually the least developed character I have ever made.
Yep.
Like, most characters come with a minimum of a 10-page backstory.
Yep.
I think Sugar was less than a page of just
starting out.
Yeah, no, starting out.
Then he got to page 20 and he was good.
Yeah. So Sugar's actually was I don't play bards. I just never actually play bards despite being a bardic person. And I was like, I feel like now that I'm making a new character for the Vault game, let me try to make a bard. And I realized whenever I played Fallout, I always boost my charisma really high to start the game. That's just how I do it. I feel like I can negotiate everything. I was like, cool. But I was like, even more so, I don't want strength. I don't want any other skills. So I just boosted up luck and said, I'm just going to be the luckiest rock star. So much so that the name Sugar Cyrus originally was because I was inspired by Billy Ray Cyrus. And that is why he was called Sugar Cyrus. But then I was like, oh, but he's also like a black guy, but he also is like a rock star. So I think it'll work out. I'm just going to make some changes. But I was like, oh, I'm also going to be a ghoul with like painted face. I was like, Sugar Skull, Sugar Ray Cyrus. But I dropped the Ray and then just went with Sugar Cyrus. And the rest of the story, I think when I gave it originally to April, it was like, yeah, no, I was a rock star who was like trying to be a rock star. And then the nukes went off and I got mutated. And that was like the gist of what I gave. It was the first time I ever gave like one paragraph of like, yeah, I'm a rock. Because I didn't actually have a background. I was like, I lived for about 100 years. I didn't feel any detail. I was like, no, I was a rocker before the nukes went off, and this is where I am at. That 100 years did not exist. So when our story developed, and April was like, what would happen if this? I'm like, oh, damn, okay. Halfway down, I was like, okay, I think I do need to have like a little more backstory other than I was a rocker that was there when the nukes went off. And then Sugar became this weird version of a charismatic edgelord in a way that was like not a god complex that other characters have. Listen, Taryn, I swear, they did not have a god complex. When I presented it to April, it was very simple. I'm just a rocker. I'm a rocker. That's it.
Yeah, I think it started out that way. It just is impossible for you to not develop a god complex in every character.
There was a city based off of me.
It's impossible.
I immediately, because the direction we were going to go with your other character, completely different. But when you gave me this, I was like, oh, we're doing Jane Cobb. It's going to be a Jane Cobb moment for you from Firefly.
And I remember.
And then when it finally happened, I was like,
because you mentioned too at the very beginning when I like gave you Sugar and we were getting started, you're like, have you ever watched Firefly? I'm like, no, I haven't. I hadn't watched Firefly yet. So when you said watch Firefly, I'm like, why? And then I watch it and I'm like, okay, so there's going to be Firefly references. And you made a few. I'm like, oh, I get it, Firefly. But when the city came up, I'm like, oh, you made me forget about this. And then it happened, the whole village and everything. So Sugar was not, even towards the end, no god complex, was simply just trying to strive to be like the idea that the Fallout is such a horrendous place, but having someone who lived through all of it non-violently, so to speak, like just having a way to just talk through every threat in the wasteland was a fun idea. But
Marcus would disagree with you on the non-violent part.
First off, I didn't get violent till I met you, so if anything, you're the problem.
Okay. I don't think Dargo remembers that way.
You were the first one to punch Saffron. That was
okay. No, I didn't punch.
And then
Saffron.
you blew up.
Yeah, as I recall, most of the violence started with you.
Didn't we get blown up like twice?
Yeah.
Okay.
I made threats and you blew people up.
So
anyway, history, right?
We're gonna go over to Clay because Sugar is being considered an arsonist, apparently.
Consider.
No.
Lovingly.
and-
Lovingly.
Honestly,
Peggy
it's
likes
funny
bombs.
that makes sense. Clay, I'm still like, I'm a little sad that I didn't follow through with Clay, because Clay was actually one that came with like a pretty rich backstory. Clay's origin was a vault dweller enclave, specifically, where his mom and his dad was military, and his mom was more of like a rations officer and so on. And she was also very tactically trained. She was more of a stealth operative. And eventually she got tired of the way that his father was very hyper militaristic, very official, but it was peacetime. So she wanted Clay to live more comfortably, Carlton. But the dad was like, no, keep training. You never know when war comes. She was like, I can't take him with me because he's too young. But if I stay any longer, I might kill his father. So then she left. And then eventually, once Clay was old enough to try to go on training, he left to find his mother. And that was kind of like an idea because, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a mama's boy. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go on a journey to find my mother in a wasteland, because why not? And having my mother be a badass black samurai from New Orleans, first off, a black samurai from New Orleans is the most dangerous thing you could ever imagine, because they will beat you down in the bayou with a hack and a slash. Just saying. And I don't know, and having the chance to have that, like, the story develop through that and everything that I was going through. And I was like, because I'm a weeb and I love anime all the way through. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to create an anime style character.
And now you get to play another one,
Yes,
but
I
as
do.
a super mutant in
Yes.
one of our friends' campaigns on Cyberpunk Uncensored. So
I will say on Cyber Nation Uncensored, I am playing
Cyber
a
Nation.
super mutant samurai called Kenpachi Yasuke, who got the name Yasuke because he read books about a black samurai in Japan.
Who
and
existed.
who actually existed, and so he took the name because he was he's a black super mutant, so his skin is darker, so he took the name Yasuke, but he also took the name Kenpachi because he once read about this guy named Kenpachi Zaraki from a book that he read and was like, oh, I'm gonna be that person. And so he's a samurai with only 7 rules in his head because he has an intelligence of 4. So
Aren't mutants amazing? Just saying.
right. It's inspired by Ash. It's basically Ash with a katana. That's all
Ash with a
Yasuke is.
katana.
Oh,
That's
great.
great.
I even picked up Pain Train and everything because every time I was like, I love Ash's Pain Train, the
So much
strength,
fun.
the nature of it, and having
Oh
like
my
a list
God.
of rules. So basically, Yasuke has a list of the Bushido code, has this very like follow these rules, and instead of wielding a hammer, wield a sword, because Ash was one of my favorite characters. I'm playing it now because
Yeah.
there's so much depth to a super mutant in a way that you wouldn't expect. Like you see in the Vulture, there's that and so on. That's partially why Clay, when originally started connecting to Ash, because Ash reminded him of those people who went through so much military training that they can't get out of their own way in that. So that's why Clay bonded. But then like
Ash did really bond with, like, I think that was something that was hard for Ash when Clay left,
Yeah.
because it was tough. It was one of those things where I was like, oh, like, because I think that there was that friendship that was basically blossoming during that time. And she, would do certain things that he was the first, I think, person to really break through, even more so than Tipper at the time. I think it was because of the fact that, like, with Tipper, I think that it was kind of in a different way, but I think that it was something about, like, Clay kind of calling her out versus like Tipper getting her more where she's like more soft, like, okay, little sis type. It was like a different type of thing, like friend calling you out, like, get your stuff together.
It was the best way.
Yeah,
was
it was a little
like,
different.
Clay treated Ash like a comrade of war. Like, look, I know things are tough, but like, get over it. But also take it at your own rate.
Yeah.
So like, Clay would never be like, "Hey, are you okay?" Clay would just come over, dress her wound, drop water, and walk away. It was like, we don't need to talk about it, but I'm gonna let you know I'm here without ever saying any specific detail. Unlike, like, Sugar was a very vocal one. Clay was not as vocal as Sugar by measure. Clay was very like, yes, no, maybe so, than anything else. I'm done talking.
Okay. All right then. Peggy Sue, who joined us when we Taryn was with us from the beginning, but behind the scenes. But then, of course, when we made the switch, we moved to TIO. We had the opportunity to bring her in, and it was absolutely fabulous. Like, it felt like she should have just been there the whole time. So I was really happy to bring her in.
You got this,
and
Mom.
then,
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, that's initially I was actually going to be playing Clay's mom. I was the voice behind the videos or the audio clips too.
Holotapes. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yep.
went from
Yeah.
being my mother to being my girlfriend, you know?
Yeah, that's a
not weird
weird
at all.
turn. No, like honestly, like Peggy started because like it was like Peggy kind of started as like a fanfic, like ultimately because like there was always a chance that I could guest or come on at some point. And so like as I was watching, I was just like, man, I'm in Texas. Who would I be in Fallout? And so like what I like to do with all my characters is just channel parts of myself and my trauma because it's healthy. But like it just originally started and it's funny because like I started and I thought I want this like petite country ass Dolly Parton girl that has a drinking problem, that like the phrase that I would like came to my mind was like Sugar Shack. Like I want her to be super cordial and be like, I'm about to like just all of the random old sayings. And so like I had this idea for her. And like at one point I was just like, oh, hey, April, by the way, this was the character if I ever got to do it. Cause I was like, this is a cool concept. And so I was like, she's this chick wearing a wedding dress. Most people don't know why she's wearing it. She's super protective of it. Like this is who she is. Peggy Sue obviously is just a reference to Buddy Holly because I fucking love Buddy Holly. And again, I'm from the Lubbock area, so Buddy Holly. And the James is actually a family name. My family's related to the James brothers, so that's who we are. So like being a gunslinger in game made sense, and I was like, I'm gonna pull on my relatives. So Peggy Sue James just kind of happened, and then it was like when it started to like when like amping up into when it was like, oh no, I actually get to make Peggy, which was like really friggin' exciting because like I'd been watching and I already loved the story and I already loved everybody's characters. I was just like, oh cool, now I have to make her edgelord background because that's what all of my characters are. And I just was like, I just kind of started writing. And I mean, I pulled from like parts of myself and like parts of my family. Like I knew I was like, Peggy's going to be a daddy's girl. You know, Peggy's going to have little sisters that she's very protective of. It was just like taking bits of myself and my heart and then going, okay, now in the world of Fallout, things are fucking awful. Like that's just a hard reality as much as like it's a fantasy game and all of these things. I was like, but what is a reality for somebody? Like what takes somebody that's naive and loving and family oriented and sets them on the path to be running around drinking with a gun? And so I was like, we take away the things she cares about. And then I kind of like, I pulled some info from Kill Bill and I was like, this chick is just going to end up like basically like mad at the world and mad at men. And I was just like, well, and then she's going to survive that. And as a survivor, I was like, okay, so like that road home though is like, you trust nobody, you're with nobody, you know, you're kind of you against the world, and you just kind of put up all of these walls and don't let anybody, even people that know you or think they're close to you, you have these walls up, and it's like, yeah, you only get so close. And so like I set out, and like my favorite thing was like I knew where Peggy's road was going to lead if she didn't develop an attachment to the party. I was like, this is like it's the true path of like the alcoholic trauma victim. Was like, no, this is going nowhere good really fast if she doesn't start to actually work on herself. And so like ultimately, like from the very beginning, like I kind of knew, I was like, Peggy's gonna end up like, she's gonna end up liking sugar, damn it. You know, it was like just like his Peggy's attitude. So I just knew, and like sugar served as like a conduit for like kind of everybody to like bring out the love in everyone and start to like, whether you liked it or not, he was gonna sing to you and he was gonna talk to you about your fucking feelings. But it ultimately like, and then watching like Ash be okay with machines and robots, and then watching Tipper like just kind of be like this source of like just good, just a pure soul. And then I mean honestly, like the drinking buddy, you know, and killing mannequins together. You know, there was bonding experiences there. And I think also for her, it was finding somebody that was like similar, like they had lost everything and she wasn't a total fuck up. And so like going into it with like knowing like she's gonna have to cope with this or she won't. And I'm like, so that's where it all started. And I was like, we're kind of the same approach of like, we're gonna start with trauma and see, because like I was just thinking like in the world of Fallout and in Texas, like this is gonna be brutal. But then I had to give her some fun sayings, you know, because you look as nervous as long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. Like, you know, I was just like, we gotta work that in there. So yeah, that was just emo, but redneck.
Redneck. I love that so much.
Hashtag redneck emo in the chat, please.
Yeah, that's gotta be a thing. In Texas, at least.
It is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and Marcus did have very similar backgrounds, but also really different because well, I mean, because you know, Peggy
Yeah.
was very sheltered, live your life. This is growing up on a farm, very sheltered, didn't go anywhere, didn't really know anybody outside of her inner circle. And then Marcus did also grew up on a, you know, a ranch farm type situation with his family, but had more of a worldly view of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just and
that was
your trauma was different, but also kind of similar. So it was kind of
well, and it was crazy because like I didn't know all of I just wrote a backstory.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just and then it just made sense to have them play off of. I can't promise that Peggy's not gonna go try to scare the crap out of your buddy. She's probably not gonna kill him, but she will scare him. Just
Fair.
for fun.
Just for using that stim pack on a individual
Yeah.
who had no idea. Just trying to-
Yep. Peggy
Fuck
doesn't
that
care.
guy.
What is fuck logic? Okay.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. Yeah.
That's gotta be like a one shot or something that we do,
Just
or one of the
Peggy.
miniseries where you run into Gordon and then you're just like, oh, so you're Marcus's friend. Got something for you.
Then take a pin out of a grenade, hand it to him. Good luck, and then walk away.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Justin, what was your like thought process with Marcus, and like where did that inspiration come from and all that?
So the way I've always done character creation is pretty much I start with a name, which maybe is, you know, some people, probably a lot of people don't do that, but and I pick my characters' names fairly simply. I go back and think about obscure 90s TV shows, and I pick an obscure name from that TV show, and that's my name. And then I try to take one personality quirk from that character. In this instance, Marcus Cole is the name of a character that was on a show called Babylon 5 back in the early and mid 90s. And one of his personality quirk I took from that was sarcasm. He's very sarcastic in general. And so then when I took that character into Fallout, kind of what was already been said before, this is Fallout, this is Texas, there's a lot of bad things have happened. So it doesn't make sense for a character just to be sarcastic. So I thought, kind of a trope background, you know, family dying. That's a lot of fantasy backgrounds are going to have that. But I thought his backstory would pick up, or what his story would pick up when he's kind of for the most part, as much as you can, dealt with it. He lost that family. He left the job that he had wanted to do most of his life, and was doing just mundane work, just kind of walking down town. But he had already gone out on his Kill Bill ride. He had already gone out and tried to kill everyone who was associated with that. So he already had his dark past. So he wasn't really meant to be a violence first dark character, because he'd already done that, and he did a lot of drinking and a lot of Kims to fuel that hunt. And so in this, when he started drinking, and started doing chems, it usually had something to do, something spurned it on about like some type of raider or something, which it was kind of like a crutch or an excuse for him to indulge in those substances again. And I don't try to include like, because a lot of my family members have suffered through addiction, so I don't want to make it seem like a light thing, like it's something you do. But that was kind of one of his character flaws, if you will, on that. And yeah, I think him and Peggy Sue had very similar background with living on a ranch of some kind or a farm. His was actually a fairly well done and wealthy one, so he kind of came from a little bit of life of privilege before, but he didn't want that. He wanted to go and do something that wasn't the family business, and he thought, you know, the Rangers, that was the ticket. That was going to set him apart, so he could set his own path, and at the same time help people. And of course,
how old was Marcus like when that happened?
He would have been in his early 20s, early to mid 20s. I don't think I said an age range for Marcus. I don't think it says specific. I just think it's more 29 and 36.
Because I was going to say, I don't think, honestly, because like Peggy was like 18, so like I think their age wasn't really that different. Just somehow Marcus was so much more grizzled, like, and Peggy was just pissed. There was.
So your character witnessed the trauma. Marcus saw the aftermath, so he wasn't there for it, which had his own set of guilt for not being there to try and help. But so it was probably the similar age when it occurred, young adults. So
yeah,
but that's kind of the thought process, and then the rest of it I let April fill in. Like the fact that the reason why I had him leave the Rangers was I thought that they basically promised they would be there if the farm, the ranch, stopped paying its tithes. They tithe to the raiders to keep them off their backs, so they wouldn't be raided. And the Rangers had convinced them that we're going to protect you. You don't need to tithe. That was his whole thing with the Rangers and why I left. But then April expanded on it to more of the corruption within, how one individual steered the politics of the Rangers, and which was a really cool story hook there too. But that was kind of the whole spiel.
So, and then it was fun because when we did our I loved when we got to do each individual and we'll talk about that too, when we got to do our one-on-ones, but with a special guest. I loved that we got to bring in Yanni as your special guest. Like that was really special to me, because I'm like, man, I've known these guys forever, and you two were my my DM inspirations. Like
Yanni since at least I've known him since I guess right around college, and he's been a pretty good friend. And then he's also our primary DM for our home games.
Well, I think both of y'all are. Y'all are like the two.
I've been DM. I'm DMing a little longer this time because he DMs like 3 other games, and I felt bad for him, so I just wanted to let him be a player for.
He needed a player break from the forever DM age.
When we first started doing it, I volunteered to DM half of it so he could actually play, because he hadn't really played in years.
Oh man. Oh, hey, NPC voices. Thank you so much for the raid. We're actually I've missed y'all's raids on Monday nights. We're we are doing After the Fallout. So we are talking about the campaign that we just ended, and just answering questions from the chat about characters and the story and all that fun stuff. So thank you so much for popping in. Really enjoy having y'all in here. So yeah. All right. Okay, so Alicia, like Tipper,
the glowing saint of Fallout.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
First thing I wanted to say was I think it's funny that Marcus was the friend you brought from home. Like, we all knew each other, but Justin is the person that you brought in to like the fray. So I always wondered like what Justin thought when he met us. Like, was he like, oh my God, these people are out of control? Or were you like, they're fun? And over time, I noticed, Justin, at the beginning, you were really more quiet. And then towards the end, you were like, I don't know if it was like the happy juice or what, but like Marcus became like a whole different person.
Well, I was like, by the end of it, it was like Marcus, like the way that I took it is Marcus warmed up and just became a sarcastic ass. and started revealing Justin underneath.
Yeah, Justin really is. It's great.
Yeah.
Possible.
Like
Funny
Marcus
person.
turned into Justin is what I picked up on.
That might be true. As you play a character so that yourself starts to bleed through a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that too. You like I loved that you were able to warm up with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
'cause you joined.
We are all over the
madness,
place.
so.
And we came from another place altogether, and you kind of jumped in, but it was like seamless and perfect. And you was kind of wet with the flow, no matter what happened and what went down here. So I commend you for that. The second thing I wanted to commend is April for, I think this was this your first stream DMing?
Yeah. I know, weird. I'd been playing in all these other streams, but I hadn't DM'd on stream yet, and so this was my debut as a DM on stream. So, yeah.
Well, you killed it.
Yeah, this was April's and this is how when I was asked to be a part of this campaign by an old friend of April's, and then I asked Brianna Utahime to come on. So that was okay. So previous to this, previous to Tipper, I had played short, like 1 shots, 2 shots, 3 shots, stuff like that. And then I had a home game that was always rolling, but home games are completely different than stream games. Not even the same animal, not the same animal at all.
Yep.
So this is the first time I ever got to actually develop a character for a campaign. But I have ADHD, so I'm going to roll back to what I was saying about April first. Literally took a campaign that had 6 different characters with 6 different massive backstreams, completely different. Multiple shakeups happened in the middle of the campaign, changed we were first we played D&D, and then we moved it to the Modiphius system. Different characters, 1 person died and created another character, 2 new people added, 1 taken off, and she still kept the campaign going. Like, other people might have crashed and burned with everything that went down with this particular campaign, but April kept it going, and it just got better. We were all like, well, what's gonna happen? But it literally changed channel. It literally ended up being perfect, chef's kiss sort of thing. You know what I mean? So that, I just wanted to commend that before I forgot, because I knew I would forget and not say it. Back to Tipper.
Tipper.
Thank you.
Tipper! This is my first, like I said, it was my first character I got to actually develop out, because when you're making a character for a short thing, your character has a hit and run type personality, because you're only going to have personality for 2 games. So it's the personality does not have to extend beyond. So with this character, I was actually able to create an evolution, and that was really, it was new for me. And it was fun. I did a lot of this with Brianna. We talked, but we didn't share stories until after, which is crazy. It's
It was
bizarre.
so good because y'all.
I had no. I was like,
character.
I had
hated
no
robots.
idea, and it literally, no lie, that was something that I sent to April that Alicia did not know about at all. And she was like, "Oh my God, this is perfect." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And I had no idea. And I'm just like, "What the?"
It was
Oh
so
my
hard
God.
keeping it a secret because I was like, I can't let y'all.
Brianna was like, I just created a character that she's a super mutant. She really hates robots. So I was like, I'm playing a synth as a robot. And Brianna was like, what? I was like, this should be interesting. So it ended up being really perfect.
And we're like besties in real life. So it's like, how do I act like I hate you? I don't hate you. We're practically sisters. What the fuck?
Hey, Casual's my bestie, and it was very easy to pretend that Peggy hated.
Yeah.
What?
I'm kidding.
I'm just being here all casual, sugar just strumming. Ugh. It's okay. I make everyone love my character no matter how annoying they are. That's my superpower.
Ooh. Okay, so one of the things that I often can refer to myself as a living cyborg. I refer to myself as walking technology because I have CIs, I have cochlear implants in my head, so I do have electrodes in my head so I can hear. So oftentimes I refer to myself as a cyborg. So I decided that, this is an opportunity for me to actually get to play one. But in creating a synth for a game, like if you don't really figure out the story behind it, it can be very one note that you're playing. Like it can be very one note, almost like Data in Star Trek, how when you first meet Data, he's Data and then he becomes Data. You know, like that. So I was like, I have to create, like a synth that has, okay, it's a synth, it's a robot. So, and then decide like what is happening. So one thing I wanted to explore doing was creating someone who was a synth or robot whose language and learning was actually programmed to learn by being out and around. So in the beginning, she started off very robotic and weird. And I remember when she met Ash was like, why is this thing standing behind me and staring at me in the tavern? And Tipper was just sort of like looking at her like this. And she's like, weirdo. And then as time went on, like she started picking up language. And then like at times she would like do major faux pas, like say things out loud. She still does kind of, but like she, as time and as things went on and she became more comfortable with who she was and what she was and then after she had the whole thing with Ash, which might I add, I still refer to. Thank you, Taryn. Thanks to the fact that I had a day off or something, they gave her the ability to poop. That was interesting. I came back into stream like, what? Because I had a day, I had to do something. I came back, by the way. Yeah, I had a day off and I came back and you guys told me. I was like, what? I'm never taking it down.
We gave you a digestive system. Hope that was cool.
They dropped me off at like a repair shop and I came back with the ability to poop. Thank you.
Yeah, like, so that's how Peggy met Tipper, was like, she was unconscious and then we gave her the ability to poop and Peggy is like,
well, why not? Interesting thing there. I was like, blah.
Well, because we had just given you a digestive system, and then it was like,
you were
wait.
like starting to really show a passion for cooking, so it only seemed fair if you could begin to taste.
Then it just we kept the trend going.
It was a revenge system that we.
It started with, hey, you need to be able to taste your food, and they were like, oh, you need to also suffer the final piece of bad food.
Yep,
diarrhea.
Have you ever heard of Taco Hell? Welcome to
Taco
it.
Hell.
Oh no,
a mess. Wow. I was saying basically it was a lot of fun to play a character that had a long like arc and different things that were supposed to happen in her evolution, which was something I'd never gotten to do. I mean, as an actress, one, and then as a D&D player too. I still tell people about the time that Ash and Tipper had that major confrontation and the thing like that. There's a thing. I often like slip into streams and discussions about how to handle emotional moments with characters because you're dealing with people, you know, even though we're playing characters, it's people behind the character. So Brianna and I, we knew that at some point, Ash and Tipper are Ash is gonna find out what Tipper is. Every time she rolled perception, it was like a 1, so she knew nothing. Every time Tipper would say, I'm a robot.
The dice.
Ash, roll for it.
They tell the story too.
Nothing. There were multiple times when she could have caught Tipper out, but she didn't. The dice was like, it's not time. There were multiple times when it could have happened. And so Brianna and I, we knew that both of us, we wanted to play it out. Like we were going to do we were going to go there with it. So we already knew it would be a safe thing to do but we just didn't know when it was going to happen and we didn't know how. So we're like, maybe it'll happen tonight. And then it'd be 2 weeks will go by and it'd be like, nope, don't know yet.
And then when it happened, it was like,
whoa. Yeah,
it was like right after y'all's first really big boss battle at Robco. And then the whole blow up, it was
massive. Like I still tell people,
I don't even think that we were prepared because it happened the way that it happened. And we were like, this is it. Everything was off the cuff. We didn't plan how we were going to respond. Like, it was just very organic. So it literally was just, we're in it. Like we did not plan. It was just off the cuff. And so, but we of course checked in with each other, but like we already talk on the daily, so it's like we knew that we're good. But it's important to always check still.
But you know what I mean? So yeah, I did. It ended up, so I still, whenever I talk about like emotional exchanges and being a character in RPGs, I often bring up that exchange because of, I'm not to like toot my own horn, but I think that was done very well and respectfully when you're going to handle something emotional with another character in an RPG, especially if it's live, you know, even not. But I think it was because right afterward, me and Brandon were like, we did! Even though both of us were like,
Yeah, there were some big emotional moments for sure, like with all that.
Yeah, in April, you did your freaking best to like bring it out at us when we least expected. That's you. That's something you like to do. I can tell. She likes to like zing you right when you think you're safe. She's like, "Did I mention you have a long lost twin?" You're like, what?
It's not just this game that I've done that in. Justin can tell you in our home game. I mean, you know, one shots that I've done and stuff, but in our home game, his character,
telenovela is your calling.
Same thing. I was like, oh, by the way, what did you know? Like, it's like all of this stuff, and they're like, yeah. So that's my favorite part. I like weaving the story. Yeah, the telenovela part is just it's my favorite. So, and y'all gave me great backstories to work with to try to weave those into where y'all would eventually, you know, be like, oh, fate has brought us together.
Well, you had to like spell it out for poor Ash's dice rolls, like it was, and I mean, and even before, like I said, even before I joined, just watching that every week of like. Ash, come on, roll different dice sets, different dice. Like it was just like every time, like put that bitch in jail. Like,
yeah, we were all holding our breath every week, just going, oh god.
And I did use different dice throughout the campaign, so it wasn't like I was using the same. It was just literally I would roll, and I'm like,
I get it.
Cool.
To go longer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that would have been so crazy if it was like even. Oh my gosh.
The dice,
even if you
dice
got
know the
character
story.
growth and you know maybe you didn't view artificial life the same way, you're lying to someone for like 3 years.
Yeah, I think that would have hurt more. That would have been worse. It would have been even worse. Like I think that their relationship wouldn't have become the friends that they became as far as like besties, like in game. If it had been prolonged any more than it already had been. I think
it's not just about the fact that
perfect.
she's a creature that done damage to you, but it's more about the lie.
Yeah, because you had to.
More like, why would you keep something that big from me? Oh my God, what are you? It's like, imagine if we're in real life, if someone come up to you and said, by the way, I'm not a human.
All right, guys, fine. By the way, I'm not a human. I get it.
We already knew that.
Hey guys. So by the way, I'm not a human. I'm actually an eldritch cat.
No, you're just.
We knew that too. Boring. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
All right, Tabby.
Oh God. I'm trying to think of something funny.
So what were some of your favorite moments for everybody? What were some of your favorite moments from the campaign that you were just like, I mean, not necessarily just moments that just happened.
Marcus washing hair.
What? What hair? Marcus washing hair.
I don't even know. I'm not 100% where that came from.
It must have been the happy juice.
Honestly,
but whatever it was, it was amazing.
Something
Dude.
that night. That won't be it. But I had no idea where that came from or where it went.
Oh, you know where it went. Don't give me that.
It was just fantastic. Because in my head, I imagined. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the football player's name. He's part Samoan. Yes, and you know the Head and Shoulders commercials. So I just imagined just like him, like with Head and Shoulders, but like not Head and Shoulders, but the waistline equivalent, and just really taking care of his hair, and like just basically his hair just flowing in the wind. Like that's all I imagined all the time. After that, like I kind of already knew that he had decent like hair, but it was just then it became amplified.
Well, then it was canon.
It was canon,
Like,
yeah.
Honestly, to like, just it's not even just like that moment. It wasn't even just Marcus washing his hair. It was Ash going and having pie with
Dean.
with fucking Dean.
Yeah.
It was Peggy starting to act catty.
That
and
was a funny one.
jealous.
Oh my god.
It was just like that night as
That
a
night
whole.
was crazy. What was Tipper got up
Yeah.
to something? What was Tipper doing?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, what were
Probably
you
running
Probably
doing?
on
watching
that
us
death
get our
claw.
hair washed.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing.
Oh, I think that was when she was having her upgrades. For
Oh,
Haley, I
Mm,
think.
No,
That
But
was
it was-
happened after. I think
It
that
happened.
Probably.
that after.
No, that happened after the upgrades because, but it had to have been like right after. No, because it was after Timmy.
And it
What?
could have
She
been
was
when
like-
Oh god. Oh god.
the worst part of the campaign. Tim, me
Brutal.
and Action Marcus. Poor Timmy. We were pouring one out for Timmy.
Yeah. I mean, we knew where it was going, but then when it went in our first character, it's just like
It just
they
happened
didn't-
so
no.
fast.
It happened so fast. I thought there'd be time. I thought there'd be a discussion. No,
There was time, man.
Sugar just
it happened.
sugar. Okay,
You
I'm
guys didn't
like
get to know. You didn't get to know the
Yeah,
story. You
that was
just,
like Fallout for real. It was like
you knew each
your
other for-
choices. You were like,
for a minute,
kill.
well, your wife is miserable.
C,
Clearly, I'm gonna help
choice
you out.
C, kill.
let me point out.
For a minute.
Peggy
That'd be like at
Peggy
4
did
minutes
not
between
kill
each other,
him.
we're like, sorry
Sugar
about
Sugar decided that they were going to kill Timmy, and Peggy was like, "I can't
that.
leave Timmy
Oh,
while
we
he
both went
gets
in there and knew
shot."
what we were doing.
I did, but at that point, like Sugar, like you can't tell Sugar shit, okay? When Sugar decides they're doing something,
Man.
that's what they're doing, okay? Like there is no convincing Sugar otherwise. Like
Nope.
at least
Their
And
charisma's too high. You were going to
Peggy-
fail every time.
yeah. Peggy had no leverage at that point. Like Peggy had not even admitted like to herself things. So there was no way for Peggy to even begin to coerce. It was just no. Sugar said, "I know how this ends. I'm putting out of his misery." And Peggy was like, "Well, I'm not going to leave him alone." And you left the two fucked adoptedest people
We
alone.
We didn't even know. We
Is
were
it
like,
possible?
Yeah,
is it
nobody else
possible-
knew.
Is it possible that they just didn't realize that you would be that fucked up?
Yeah,
No.
that was like generally in game. I'm like, oh.
Sugar
Yeah.
doesn't have a lot of like long-term decision making, hence the explosive,
Sure,
literally going in with explosives.
Because you
Sugar
lived for
thinks-
so long.
Yeah,
You've been
Sugar
alive
doesn't-
for over 100 years.
Yeah, so clearly I
Exactly.
have to make a decision about life and death and that.
It is actually. Think about it. Sugar's lived for 100 years. Sugar has seen people die all around him over and over from so many ways that the concept of like, oh, long term, we don't have time for that.
So
I've
the
seen people
question is,
die
so
in minutes.
why did you let all of us live like 5 minutes after you met us? You could see we were trouble. You should have just put us out of misery right there.
Because none of you were in like you were together. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Peggy
Oh
was
my
so
God.
You
cute.
said, oh, okay.
If little Timmy had a friend,
If Timmy had friends, Sugar would have been like, you two stick
Would've
Timmy
been
together.
did have a friend, but his friend died.
but you
and
didn't,
they were
you
playing
didn't,
hide and
talk to him
seek
long enough to find out where his
100
friend
years
was.
ago.
Nope. Sugar was like, your parents are missing. You don't know where your friend is. You were in a freezer. You're alone. Got it.
Yeah,
Your
Alright,
parents
so-
are trapped in the basement the
I get,
whole
I
time.
get it, but yeah, I
You'll
can't think
never
of that
check the
basement. Someone was
basement.
in the basement.
No,
but
I don't want to check the basement. Peggy will never go back to that house.
From Marcus's perspective,
And
I
his
honestly thought
grandmother.
it was gonna happen. Like it was gonna happen, but it'd be days.
Yeah, no.
Get to
Sugar
know
does
get
not
to know,
have
see the full picture. Oh, he needs to be put. Yeah, it has to happen.
like to put in perspective. If you think about every
2 minutes
action
later.
Sugar ever did was the incident on Timmy, the explosions. Even when we got to the town with Saffron, Sugar immediately, everybody's like, oh, what are we gonna do? Sugar's like, I'm gonna go break into the Raider base and figure it out from there. Like, Sugar was like, as soon as we arrive, get it figured out, get going. Like, I live for long enough. Let's see what happens. But Sugar also has like that, I've lived long enough that I'm ready to die. So who cares? But can't die, and then carries that to everyone else. Sugar had a very sad way of like through all the joy and smiles, he was pretty much saying, I'm ready to die, but nothing can successfully kill me. So I'm just gonna live until I die. Hence why I'm walking with explosions. It's fine.
Well, and see, that was
Right.
like, that was what started to get Peggy though, is because Peggy was like, she recognized that, but then was like, I don't want you to go though. And I think that was like what started the thought process in her head of like, but I don't want him to go. And it was like, oh, okay.
Oh no, I
Feelings.
don't want him to go. Oh no.
Fuck.
I want him to stay shite.
And then of course then we walk into baby fucking Sugarville and Peggy was like, well, I guess I'm single again. And that was weird. There's a statue.
And this
there
whole
was a
town
statue.
is full of
Yeah.
his descendants.
Because
Awkward.
Peggy was
Oh, and that's his girlfriend.
yeah, Peggy was
mama.
absolutely ready for Sugar to be like, I'm back with, and I think Peggy would have been okay because like Peggy's like, that's literally the person that they opened up to her about. Like, you know, I think it was like one of those things where Peggy was like, I mean,
It makes sense. I'm not gonna be
Damn.
mad at like
Yeah.
this is who you were looking for.
and they're
Like,
alive after like 100
Well,
bajillion
but
fucking
he'll be
years.
alive in 100 more years, so he's just playing a long game.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
he'll eventually die. He'll just go back to
Oh.
Ashley. It's fine.
Oh, actually,
That's fine.
there. Unless Peggy becomes a super mutant from hanging out in the radiation with all the radiation babies,
There
but
you go.
damn, Sugar didn't think about
Join
that.
one
Oh
of
no.
us.
Or Peggy's dead in 2 years.
because
the
of
radiation,
cancer from the
yeah.
radiation babies.
Possibly the
That's
more
actually a
likely outcome.
question. Will Sugar go back?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
For specifically for her, not just go back, but will Sugar even? I mean, and I'm saying it could be in 20 years when Peggy's dead because it's Fallout. Like, there people aren't going to live that long.
That's
Yeah,
probably
but when Peggy's dead, and of course only after Peggy's dead.
Or would you like
She's
stay in
like,
contact? Would you be going and visiting
yeah,
your
like,
grandbabies or your great grandbabies?
I can tell
what do
you,
you think?
I know for a fact. Sugar already has it kind of in his head, or in their head, like once Peggy dies, which is a inevitability to him, to them at least, is like
I
Peggy's
mean,
a human. Like either you're
for
going
now.
to die, or best case scenario, you turn into a ghoul. But like sincerely, it's death one way or another. Sugar's decided that like they're just gonna wander the wasteland and call it and just keep going. Just go to the places they've never been and just live like the previous way. Live until they die.
Peggy's gonna put you out of your misery right before she dies. Just be like, come give me a hug.
I will say one of the
oh my
other
God.
highlights for me, I think, because this was the first, my first actual like long-term campaign as well, ever, because I only played like RuneQuest like previously with friends, but the scheduling was always out of whack, and I didn't really know much about D&D, but I kind of wanted to learn because it sounded cool and it seemed really like it was like really interesting. I was like, I want to learn how to play all these different things and other TTRPGs. And when Alicia was like, hey, my friend April has this campaign, and I was really excited to join. But it was interesting because I did create this very complex character, but also too, I didn't even realize how much as far as the emotional connection, and the different emotional scenes that would happen during the campaign. But one of my favorites, I think, was after the blow up with finding out that Tipper was what she was. Having that
She's a whatever she is.
we don't talk. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. That's no. Okay, but yeah, like just having that conversation outside where she's like literally like doing self-harm pretty much, like smashing into the wall, like just kind of having her moment, and talking with Tipper, but having the conversation about family. Because it's something that, it's that feeling of, if you don't know what a real family is like, if you've never had anyone who was nurturing or supportive of you, or taught you just the basics about life and how to live, and how would someone who was in that position, kind of, if they've started to kind of develop these almost like these feelings that they're trying to understand, and they're like, okay, this person keeps mentioning family. What is that concept? And is this how families treat each other? Kind of all of these different layers of it, because of the fact that she started feeling more comfortable around these people, because technically, since she felt like she lost, which of course we found out she didn't lose everyone, but you lose people who are the closest thing to family, you know, how do you know you this new family, but then there's betrayal that happens and gaining that trust again in those people. You know, there's so many different things that kind of happened and how that played out. But I think that that's also too something that's really real for a lot of people because, you know, some people feel like they don't have that loving family and that support and, you know, go through that on the daily. And it's just kind of like, it's a very real moment. And it was something that I didn't even realize until it was kind of playing out. Like, oh, we're talking about some real deep shiz right now, like no joke. But it was also too beautiful the way that it played out because it was very much again, it was not planned, so everything was authentically like how we were in our characters, how our characters felt in that moment. But it was really awesome how it all transpired and ended up going in a certain direction because I also too didn't know it would go in that direction, but it was awesome. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, but yeah, well, no, I was gonna say playing off of that moment though, like that emotional release was like Ash finding out, like meeting the vault leader. I mean, in Dallas, like that last bit whenever she stormed off, and Sugar. I mean, like that emotional exchange. That exchange was like. What, like, I mean, sitting there watching, like, that was hard not to tear up and cry because, like, Ash was suffering so much. And then, like, Sugar kind of coming to save the day. And then you have, like, Marcus, even in all of Marcus's, like, invulnerability, ultimately, like, Marcus is right there supporting Ash like he did the entire campaign.
And that was something that was I think that it was so interesting to see that front because it was one of those unspoken things is that like I feel like almost like wherever Marcus was going to go, Ash was going to follow because he was kind of at the core. Like, you know, it was kind of like I mean, of course, then that bond with Tipper and then the rest of the crew, but he was the main kind like
y'all's
not dad. I don't want to say dad figure because
y'all have
seem
this
right. Brother,
and
like
this unspoken
brother, you know, kind of like person to rely on. Yeah,
that was really special. He was definitely reliable.
Oh no, I saw that chain incident.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh
now
my
you
gosh.
take Marcus was absolutely dependable because Marcus and Peggy killed the shit out of that mannequin.
Oh yeah, no, that was so funny. That was hilarious.
That was one of my favorite moments, just because it was so because it was so easy to picture is these two drunk idiots, like who have been at each other's throats or suddenly walking around drunk as shit, and then
drinking brings everyone together. Add firearms to the mix. I mean, you can't miss.
Oh yeah, good combo, man.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it.
That's also
Texas. Yeah.
And I love that. And Marcus was the first one in the group who found out that Tipper.
Oh yeah, he did not.
And kept her secret.
Marcus would not want to be want to be a secret holder of that.
Like,
no, that was gnarly.
During rest, Marcus was like, "Here, go in your here's your sleeping bag. I'll distract everybody while you go shut off."
She slept in backwards.
Yeah, especially
oh my god.
Tipper she inadvertently was just obviously trying to tell everyone.
Yeah,
she stabbed Petra in the hand.
Or
tried to stab Petra in the hand.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Let me show a difference. Gosh. I cut you, you bleed. It's like, that's how this works. Don't do that.
Oh my god, my favorite was when Tipper learned how to stick up her middle finger because she was She's like, this is a friendly sign.
Oh,
I'm still
licking off people.
Justin was upset. Marcus was displeased as well. That Ash destroyed that pie robot. That was just
I'm surprised you didn't say Cashbot.
Yes.
Cashbot.
I think that was pre-Cashbot. I think that was just like
no. I know. I said I'm surprised you put the pie before the Cash.
Well, that just stuck with me a while. That Ash would take that hatred to pie.
Yeah, it was just a pie.
It was a pie tray.
It was like a pie tray.
Yeah, you made a
Yeah.
little
Little
robot
robot
to
who was holding
distract you,
pie.
and then you put some of the pumpkin pie,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
Dinner
It was a
plate
distraction.
getting off. It was
Uh,
at Hannah's farm
it was-
with
yeah.
the
Yeah.
the
We don't
roaches.
talk
Roaches.
about Hannah's farm.
Can we take a
either.
moment to just think about poor Hannah? Like we really fucked
Yeah,
her
you
all
guys,
up.
y'all, see, no, no, I
I
have that going
tried.
for me.
She'd
I
been
have that
living a
going for
peaceful
me.
life.
I
No,
had that going
Ash,
for me.
Ash tried. Ash
I
was
had
like,
no
just
part.
let me restrain
Yeah,
him.
you had no.
Marcus tried.
Peggy's
Marcus wanted no
pieces.
part of killing this guy.
Yeah.
Stab, stab,
And
stab.
one failed chain throw, then all of a sudden, just like Timmy, they gotta go.
I didn't do it.
Honestly,
I-
if Sugar would have
Ash
seen
didn't
that,
do
Sugar
it.
might have put you out. Nah, he done. He passed out from the chains.
Ash did not do. To be fair, Ash did not do it.
Right,
She
Marcus-
didn't. She was just on top of him, and she's like,
Marcus-
"Oh, he got shanked. My bad."
Yeah, he went down. He just went down.
If
Poor
it
Hannah.
makes
God.
if it makes anybody feel any better, Marcus did get his comeuppance when he got penises drawn all over his face because he passed out.
Oh, I forgot
How was that
about
my
that
come up?
too.
What did Marcus do to deserve that? How?
To be
How did-
honest, I don't even remember what you did.
because you were the
That's-
dad of the
That's
group.
the thing. I don't
the
think
North
he deserved
Star.
it. I don't think he deserved it.
You
I
passed
don't-
out before everybody else. Them's the rules.
Party
foul.
That's
In
true.
the rules. I have a question. For April,
Oh gosh.
were there any
Ooh.
moments, like I know we were like chaos bunnies, but was there like a moment that stands out in your head specifically that we did something you did not think we were going to do? And you're like,
Timmy.
Timmy.
Whole campaign.
No, actually, that one I knew could have gone. That one was actually one that I didn't think it was gonna go that way, but I had prepared just in case it had gone that way. I was like, they're not gonna, because that I pulled that specific scenario from the video
Talk about
game.
morality that these guys failed. Got it.
So yeah, there's actually it's a little bit different, but I pulled
Yeah.
from that and tweaked it a bit. But in the games, you do find someone who has been locked in the freezer this entire time, and they're
Yeah, it's
completely out of
creepy.
their mind.
think
But they
about
had been
that,
turned
though.
ghoulish and had been in the freezer this whole time. So I pulled from that. I was like, okay, they could possibly kill, Timmy. I don't think they will, but they might.
30
And then
minutes
when you did,
later.
I was like, whoa.
If
10
Ash
minutes
and
later.
Marcus would have taken care of it, Tammy would have
Listen,
been fine.
I had no idea, and Ash had no idea. I as a player, Ash in game.
Oh, I knew that
No
was a big
clue.
possibility. I just didn't think it would happen
Immediately.
right away.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me the most. was I was like, no
We
way
have a
this
very
could happen.
special Wasteland medical program where we get you your medicine immediately.
Yeah. and after that, Marcus was not one to ever get hurt.
And it didn't happen ever again, right? Marcus was like, I'm okay. I'm
hid
fine.
even further behind Ash.
But April, was there a moment where we actually surprised you, or was it pretty much like you knew what we were doing?
No,
That
there
you
were
can think
there
of.
were several moments that I was like,
Well,
what?
are you doing?
they're really going to, like, when you killed Big John. I'm like,
Oh,
dude told
yeah.
you
Marcus.
that,
Oh,
or when
yeah.
Marcus.
Yeah, when you
wasn't-
killed Big
I
John, 'cause he
wasn't-
was like-
I honestly wasn't, because normally I'd almost never have characters end up going full, finish that type of thing off. But I had that question if he had been there, and when the answer was yes, so he had this list. He thought he was done. Marcus thought he was done. He thought he pretty much had his revenge on these people. But then I found out there's more, and this guy was there. And then I rolled a dice. I was like, okay. And then with pretty high odds that I'd have to kill him once I found out he was there. That's the reason why.
Pretty
If he hadn't been there,
personable.
if he hadn't been there, I wouldn't have killed him.
or-
You had
or
your
when-
own Kill Bill list.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, or
It was
when
a list with no names. That's the problem.
or when Sugar did not take Ashley's guitar case. I thought certainly Sugar's going to take her guitar case, or at least I just or something like exchange it with something like, here, you can have this, like I will give you whatever amount of gold to get it. Like that was something that I thought would happen.
I will say, honestly, had it been like any time prior to like that day end game,
Yeah.
Sugar might have been like, I need that case. But like that's why how the series events happened, because in game Sugar had made the solidified idea that I'm gonna be with Peggy, which means I have to let go of my past. And seeing the guitar case was was like Sugar's way to be like, yeah. All right, Ashley, it's time to let you go. So when they find Ashley, not even a few days later, they're like, nope. I just mentally broke up with you for good. Because I was like, you're gone.
It was so good.
Yeah,
It's timing.
you didn't go ahead and just kill her?
I thought about it, but you know, she's needed to run the entire Sugarville, so
Yeah.
Sugar cult.
yeah. I'm just saying, if Timmy would have had a sugar cult, Timmy would be alive.
Yeah, there were several moments that that I was like that y'all surprised me, but not so much so that I was like, oh crap, what do I do? Like when you blew up Marcus. Oh, the whole thing with Charlie, I thought it was probably going to go. I mean, I knew that you might be able to forgive him, or that he was, because Ronan and I had talked about what he was possibly going to present you, and his backstory, because he ended up creating a backstory for Charlie, and the way why Charlie was the way he was. He had also he had gone the opposite direction. So his family, just like yours and Marcus, had been, destroyed by raiders, but instead of becoming like what y'all did, and like an avenging angel of sorts, he went the opposite route, and he joined them to destroy them from the inside.
And so, okay, but in that moment, so like, and that's why Peggy had told like a couple of people before, like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to kill him. And it's ultimately because like by that point, like Peggy was starting to diffuse because of Sugar, and because like, oh, like my life's not that bad right now. And then like getting there, when it was seeing him face to face and seeing like clearly I'd done a good job. He's real fucked up. But like seeing that he was miserable, like seeing that he was also like, it was a little flattering that he was so terrified that he brought like a whole convoy of people to meet Peggy, which I was like, damn, if that's not some Southern woman rage, I don't know what is. Like that man knows. But it was just like, I think seeing those things, and then like having Sugar like right there, Peggy was like, you're not like worth it anymore. Like it's just not, like I'm done being like this angry victim. You're just not worth it anymore. And I like, you're suffering, and that's all I want for you. Like that's why when he was like, don't think about me ever again, she's like, all I want you to do is fucking think about me every fucking day, and I want you to continue to suffer. And then it was like, as they were leaving, like whenever it dawned on her, like, wait, like I made a promise that I wouldn't kill him. Like she was like, I like, in her mind at that point, the reason she ran back wasn't because like she felt bad for him, it's because she's like, I don't want to start my like new life, like this new leaf, breaking like a brand new promise, kind of. But then he died anyways.
And Marcus dying.
Did he die though?
Did he die?
Yes. That's how, to Peggy, yep, he's dead. She don't fucking care anymore. She's going to church on a regular basis. She don't fucking care.
So what was y'all's?
That was definitely surprising. That was definitely a surprising moment, because we totally all thought that Peggy was gonna roll up and just bang dude gone. So we were all like, whoa, she let him live, holy
or get one of us to do it. So
it actually wasn't so surprising, because when I think about it, it's the same way like Sugar letting go of Ashley was letting go of the life before Peggy, and Peggy choosing not to kill Charlie is in the same vein of giving up the life before
Different
Sugar,
person.
being like, okay, let's start our life new without the baggage of the past. However, Sugar is impulsive, and Sugar was like, yeah, we're gonna kill him, right? Cool, I'll set up the meeting.
Well, I mean, but then again, it was the extreme aspects of Charlie, what he did. I think that was something that I didn't expect, because I think that knowing the like you're seeing the one shot of your backstory to the extent and things that were hinted at, I was like, there's no way she's going to allow him to breathe. Like in my head, because I was like, I don't think that me personally and my character would be like totally chill. Like, you know, in my head, I was just like, wow, like I was like,
we were shocked. We were shocked.
Like,
but
I was like,
well, and I mean that was there was a bit of a personal reflection for me in that, actually, because there was a moment in my life where I had like this similar like, fuck you, it's not about you anymore. Like, it's about me and what I'm doing with my life and where my life is going. And, you know, so like, I think that's like ultimately, well, and I think it was like Peggy deciding ultimately was like, you're not a part of this anymore. Like, you are nothing. You mean nothing, and you don't get to affect my life and how I lived anymore ever again.
You don't even go here.
Yeah, like, who are you, bitch?
Yeah. You get to continue suffering and thinking about me every day, but I'm never gonna think about you again.
Yeah. Because
Sugar helped make sure that happens by nuking them.
Yeah.
If that like could have come to you 30 minutes before.
Oh yeah.
Would have been amazing.
No.
You know, just general.
Every other time Sugar blew everybody up, I will be like, all right, fine. But Marcus wandered onto the bus without telling anyone what Marcus was doing.
You guys wandered to that location without telling
Hashtag
you guys all
Marcus's new hand.
Marcus abandoned us first.
Yeah, that episode should have been called Speed because there was a bomb on the bus.
The problem was
it blew up.
Hashtag stranger danger.
As soon as it was happening, I knew what you were doing, but I was already committed to going on the fucking bus to covering you. So I was like, so when April asked, where are you? I'm like, well, I'm on the goddamn fucking bus. I'm not going to change it.
And then the song is playing, and the song is playing. And then so in that moment, I mean, did you know that there was any way that anybody was going to survive that? I mean, it was a nuke mine.
No, I really thought, I honestly really thought we were going to tune back in and it was going to be like, bye Marcus, Peggy is actively dying. Like, I really was like, I don't know what April's about to do, but
to be honest, I was not aware of the how I was like, I was trying to figure out the zones. I was like, wait, what is this zonage? So in my head, I was like, wait, I don't know how this, and Gabe, wait, are we all dead? Is it just like some of us? Are we partially injured? How? What? Why?
Yeah, we were trying to guess.
We would have been fine because we started walking away. And if we're more than long from the zone, at worst, we take a little bit of, force, but we were going to be in a distance. Sugar timed the music because Sugar had already had this nuke mine prepared and the cassette with the music primed. And they had two options: use the cassette to play the song or hit the chord on the guitar in an emergency. Sugar already planned, worst case scenario, Sugar was going to run up and hit the chord. But they took the cassette and they went to the bus. So Sugar's like, perfect. We walk away, we'll be fine. But then Peggy's like, what did you do? And Sugar's like, I'm helping with the issue. And when Peggy started running back, Sugar's like, oh, we're all dead. My bad.
My bad.
My bad. I was so close to doing this perfectly.
Ash's intelligence is only a 4. She didn't know what was happening.
So
what were some of y'all's favorite plot twists that you're like, what, like mind-blowing moments that you were not necessarily favorite, but like,
Ash is a fucking alien? What? Like, Ash is somehow an alien baby?
Oh yeah, that's twisted.
That was like a thing. Oh, you mean like when we woke up on a fucking spaceship?
Yeah,
how about that?
Awesome.
Fall out.
That was awesome.
That's probably the biggest twist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anything tops that. Like, anything can.
I know there's nothing technically, but a twist they got me, and it's probably just because Sugar's character was specifically when we got to that. I forgot which town it was, but the lady who gave Sugar the bomb that was used on the Scorpios, to find out when she's talking about her family, and you realize that she's like either the grandmother of Timmy.
Yeah.
And Sugar was like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
oh damn, that's when I think Sugar started being like, I fucked I might have fucked up. I might have fucked up.
Just-
So you finally cut up to Ash and Marcus then.
Yeah, like when that happened, when Sugar was like, "Oh,
That's a
Oh.
baby. Oh,
that's your." So there was a family that we could have brought that was like not too far away. Oh damn! It's not as big as finding out, the alien stuff. But I think for me / Sugar, that moment made Sugar go like,
There are consequences to your actions.
yeah, because Sugar never has
Yeah.
been with a group. Sugar's always traveled, so Sugar's never stayed anywhere long enough to deal with the repercussions. So normally can just keep going and keep moving and doesn't care. So this is the only time when Sugar had to stay around a place long enough to find out that he fucked up, and they're like, oh no. I done-
Oh no.
Timmy fell down a
Oh
well.
no.
yeah,
Oh,
that's the
no.
big twist. The biggest
Less-
twist for me.
lest we forget that Timmy is resting with a giant bullet wound in his head. In his head.
Aw. I just thought that he was going to become like the new, like, replace Tipper for the most annoying little, like, follower of Ash. So I was like, oh, I'm going to have this, like, little ghoul man child who's going to be, like, following her
When-
around, and she's going to have to protect Timmy. And then I was just like, I guess that's not happening. Never mind. Whoops.
When Bopper
Whoop.
started talking,
When Bopper said words, I was like,
No.
Yeah,
just
no,
Bopper.
that
Just-
too was
just
like-
Bopper. Just
Bopper.
Bopper.
Bopper in
Bopper,
general is
man.
just like,
First
what?
off,
first off,
Bopper is our child. You will respect our children.
Like, none of
They
y'all
will be
think
pre-
this is crazy.
If I have
they
to-
will
if
be
I have to sleep with my
protecting and
gun
eating
ready,
fingers
it's
for
not
the
a-
rest
it's
of
not a
our
child.
lives.
I think we were
Great.
all ready to put Bopper. Like, I think everybody else was ready to put Bopper down if he tried to gnaw at
You
any of us.
sleep with,
I
you
was
have to sleep with
like,
mittens.
no.
Because your socks on your hands, because otherwise your fingers are gonna get bit off.
No, Bopper only ate fingers given to him,
Yeah, Bopper only ate what we told him to eat.
and Big John's nose.
But that's
Oh,
because
yeah.
we put the body on the ground and only partially buried. And Bopper knows if we don't bury it, it's open food.
Oh, and for those who may be new and that not knowing what we're talking about, it's a baby Deathclaw.
Yes. So
Baby
Bopper
Deathclaw.
was after Peggy, Sugar, and a few other additional NPCs ended up killing some, animals. There was a baby Deathclaw that instead of,
Y'all killed its mama. Y'all killed the mama Deathclaw.
we didn't kill its mama. The
at
mama
the Red
died
Rocket.
by unknown amount of wounds. and
Stella was
injuries,
busy healing a certain super mutant who got jacked up.
and
Lost
Just
his
saying.
arm.
And somebody else was looking for
Joey.
Joey.
I just realized that. I've taken your arm.
I realized
Joey.
it right away. I realized it straight away.
As soon as you said he was missing arm, I was like, damn.
I'm like,
Do you have a personal thing against Justin and his arms?
Yeah,
I'm
Justin doesn't
worried
get
now.
to
Please
finish a
don't
game
ever
with his
remember that.
arms. Please remember everything about it.
I need 2 hands to cast, Justin. I'm playing a sorcerer in our home game. Do not
No,
take
You don't
no
need
more
twins, you just need one
somatic
free hand.
components for you.
Listen, you can be like Jamie
Oh my
Lannister. Get
God.
yourself a golden hand. You're fine.
I got-
The Midas touch. You're fine. It's okay.
well,
Don't
the
That
worry.
Marcus-
means something
Marcus guy
different.
was pretty incredible, so I think
Yeah.
might be okay with it.
Means he got,
Hashtag
like,
Midas touch.
God, Bopper was also so great.
Yes. Taryn.
Renee. Any other like whoa? Anybody else like moments that you did not see coming that was just like what telenovela moment?
Well, just
Marcus
to, like,
not
keep-
dying.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That was it. Marcus not dying.
I mean, it wasn't a full nuke. I thought he might got blown out of a window and missed most of the explosion or something. That was my hope.
Put the nuke under the bus. I'm just saying. It was very intentionally placed on the bus nuke. They are, yeah. So I was like, Marcus is definitely dead.
I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
he got
yeah, I was
blown
like, he
out.
came into
People
it,
survive
yeah.
car bombings. I don't know why.
Car bombings. Nuclear car bombings?
So it's not a full nuke. The damage specs on it aren't really that.
Which is
Okay, Mr. Read the rule book.
Mechanically, the bus part would
Mechanically.
concern me more than anything. The bus
Yeah.
part is what concerned me more than anything.
The
'cause
bus would have, yeah.
It exploding as well.
Mm.
Which one was for you, Alicia?
Yeah, what were you?
Alicia?
Mhm.
What'd you say?
Which one you were saying there was a certain
no,
moment?
Yeah.
Just backing up to the Peggy Charlie moment. I think that I was ready to Tipper basically was ready to scream when Charlie was like, "Well, I killed your family, but I mean, do you ever think about the fact that maybe I was upset because my family was dead, so I had to kill you?" I was like, "I'm gonna kill him myself.
Yeah, I think because Ronan played like I think if it had been
He's
more
fired.
emotion, like because if it had been more like where he was like, you know, like I had certain trauma, like if he had explained it differently, it just seemed like he like almost like how when he told Sugar like oh like somebody's butterface up in this party, it's not me, you know, just like saying basically talking about like these jabs. I felt like that was a jab. So the fact that that Peggy interpreted that differently, like we were like this in the back.
Yeah, we were like, we're gonna go in and kill him right now. He was so. Although I will say that Ronan did a really good job.
No,
playing
really,
Charlie.
really good job.
He did
Like,
a good job playing
So
Charlie.
yeah.
He did.
evil that I didn't know
did.
that was supposed to be like his redeeming.
Yeah, we didn't
I
know.
will
We
say,
had no
actually,
clue.
No,
got me
yeah.
The way he
like
played
a-
Charlie, it reminded me of anyone that knows Naruto anime, specifically how Pain or Madara does their speeches. Like I know for a fact he was inspired by those people who were like, yeah, I
Yeah,
may be the villain,
I
but it's
can see
because
that.
everyone
Yeah.
hurt my family and everyone hurt me and no one was there for me.
That's
so
the ultimate
I lashed
villain
out. Yeah, the one
backstory.
who's so
Yeah.
hurt that they kind of
Yeah.
continue the circle of abuse, so to speak. So when I was listening to it, I was
Mhm.
like, oh, this is an
Yeah.
anime speech. And I'm like,
See,
ah.
Yeah.
And
that seems
all
to be-
Peggy was really thinking was like, you're fucking pitiful, and like you mean like all I would like Peggy, like as this was she was just like, you're so full of shit. Like look this like this is all you are. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't like there was so much of her like also playing nice because like Peggy was playing nice because she understood there were minds and like the people she cared about most were right with her. And like all she could think was, as much as I want to kill him, if it sets off all of this stuff and kills the 3-4 people in the world that I love, it's not
Yeah.
worth it.
Ash
Like-
almost threw Tipper.
What?
Like
That's
remember?
right. Yeah, she did. She was
I
gonna pick me up and
I
throw
said,
me.
Kim,
because-
how much do you weigh? I was like messaging Alicia, like, okay, how
I was
much
like,
do you
let's go.
weigh? All right, I think I can roll, and I'll succeed at throwing you. Just like if I was to pick you up and throw you.
Let me
Oh,
check
yeah.
my sim packs. Let me check my sim packs. Ready to go.
But I also on that front, Will, just to get to bring it up one more time before this is all over, you know, my fucking gun is with this fucking
Jesus
radio
fucking
DJ.
Christ.
And Peggy will be going and eventually getting it back. She'll be
Ash's
keeping
first crush, by the way. That was something that I don't know if people picked up on, but that was
Yeah.
the first crush.
Peggy will be keeping both Cindy Lou and Ollie V. By the way, that's welcome to the wasteland, motherfucker.
Are you saying the Vault spinoff, The Adventures in Arizona?
Well, the the thing is, because I'm wanting to do some mini series after this, and one of the mini series I'd like to touch on is, you know, the adventures, you know, with the Blast Off radio station, and you know, Peggy, eventually maybe trying to get her gun back at some point. So that could be a fun little.
No, Peggy's
exploration
going to get that was her daddy's gun. Y'all have heard this 1,000 times, and I feel like I'm saying it. That was her daddy's gun. Okay.
Yeah, that was my daddy's gun. And he has guns.
So rude. Oh my god.
I would like a spinoff only for the fact that I am like, even though like it was a character I let go of, I want to know the closure on Clay. I know Clay got his mother, but there was still the whole Enclave situation that just still lingers to some degree.
because they
that
were looking
technically
for
can-
you.
Exactly. So we actually never know if that gets settled or.
I would say
anything.
let's make that a mini series because I want to see that shit.
Yeah,
Because that was in essence. That's why there was always
the
Clay was-
Yakuza, and you and your mother are with the Yakuza now,
right?
which is a thing in Fallout, by the way.
Nani?
Yeah. So,
Renee.
and I was really excited that it was going to become
No.
part of.
Oh no.
It's just
Oh,
tune
no.
in. Seems like
Peggy
Running the
might
Rocket
kill
has
somebody.
dismantled the gun for parts.
Oh no.
And plus, and we also need at some point. So, well, I guess we can talk about. Well, no, I'm going to go ahead and say it because also, I mean, now Tipper knows Stella. She also
That's
has like a
right.
Peggy-
sister out there
Peggy can-
somewhere.
Peggy can straight up take her to Happy to go see, you know, people and you know, go see Dolly and Joey.
Joey.
I don't think she's seeing Joey.
and an
And
armless super mutant.
Dargo's
Yeah.
here with one arm missing.
Aw.
But yeah, dude, I would like, that's one of the things I told April, like right before it ended, like when I went and saw it, I was like, here's kind of what I think Peggy will do a little bit afterwards. And I was like, I just think she would love to take, like, after finding all of that out, like she would love to take Tipper because she loves going up there. Like those are her friends. She goes and sees them all the time when she's passing through.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Peggy's just gonna be like, oh shit, hey, I found your sister. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, also your great would have been your great. Wait, what did we just say? What did we decide? What your title was going to be with Marie?
Yeah,
That
what
y'all
would
were going to
she
be like sisters, or
Yeah, I think we said like I think we said like we're siblings. She's like a
Yeah.
real sister
Yeah.
because you know, even though I look like her mom, I was created by her dad, so we were like, you have a
We're
sister. That's what we
sisters.
said. Yeah.
yeah.
That was one of my favorite moments. In the mirror, Stella with Tipper.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
What was going on?
Those
This is during the one shot, during the one-on-one thing, when they were like standing with each other, and Stella really wanted to, like, she was like, "How come I'm not looked at as and stuff?" And I was
Well,
like,
I look like you.
Yeah.
I want a
The
body.
ugly sister.
I love Stella so much. So
They have to
thank you
meet
for
at
letting me
some
like
point.
live out my like 50s sitcom fantasy, like WandaVision. I was living in my WandaVision fantasy. Okay, I was all about it. I was like, yes, this is my Stella fantasy. I'm living in it. I'm loving it. A little bit depressing when you think about it, but still fun nonetheless.
Yeah, they would have to re-meet again. Like in my mind, when I think of an epilogue, I think of, you know, Tipper stays with the band because this is like her new family, but she does, now that she knows Marie exists, in my mind, I was like, she sets up shop with Marie until Marie passes, and then she stays there. Like she owns a shop and she keeps tinkering and making cool little robots and things after Marie passes. But also, yeah, definitely making it to Happy and bumping back into Stella somehow, because she doesn't even know Stella is still around.
Yeah, that's
She
true.
has no clue.
That is true.
Yeah, because everything was
Yeah.
destroyed in the tornado,
yeah.
and that's why Stella left with the group to
Yep,
go
she took
find a
off.
new home, and
Yep.
then that's when Tipper emerges from
the base,
the
from
shelter, and then
Yeah.
well, Stella's gone, everything's gone. Now what?
Mhm.
And then you made your way to Hub City. So it's
Yeah.
like
Right.
y'all just barely missed each other. There was a lot of that, just
Right.
barely
Ships in
missing
the
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and as far as like epilogue things go too, like absolutely like what I told April and what I think ultimately Peggy will kind of roundabout do. I mean, however many years she's got left, I mean, again, Wasteland included, it's like she's still like, that land is hers, and God forbid if anybody's there, she gonna kill him. But like that land is hers, like, and then with all of these kids and like displaced people, and like after seeing Sugarville, like I think her idea would be like, well, let's go back to Laredo, let's clean up the farm, let's rebuild the walls, let's start this back up, and like let's teach these kids and these young adults and these people how to do this and make a good living being honest people, instead of being raiders and having to resort to that lifestyle to survive. And like honestly, I see her like checking in and out, but like kind of like Sugar, like she's not gonna just stop. And it's one of those things where like if they encounter like orphans, like those two girls, like at some point Peggy wants to find those two girls.
Yeah.
Like once, like that's something that like has stuck in her mind of like, I want to make sure that these kids in the wasteland that are displaced like don't get pulled into that, because it's really easy, like that's an easy way to go, is like just take it from other people, whereas like no, you can go and you can learn to do the thing. Like I could see her stopping in, checking, and like being a bossy person, being like, okay, this is some weak shit, y'all need to fucking amp this up, and starting back Dos Jaime's, growing extra cactus for Ash. We'll call it Ash's. It'll be like there'll be like
Those
Ash.
thighs. This is
Ash's
size in
special.
Spanish.
It'll be Ash's special batch, and so there will be like regular Dos Jaimes, and there will be like Dos Jaimes with cactus, and that's like got a picture of like a hammer on
no.
it, and like that's
Get hammered
yeah, like and
with those Jaimes.
yeah, and so like that's kind of what like Peggy will like. I feel like that's something, especially with all those displaced kids and everybody, that's what she would want to do. But she'd still be roaming, and then just knowing somewhere there's a home where, or if they encounter people, they can be like, "Hey, go here," and like
Your own settlement.
like they'll help you. And
Peggy
Bopper,
Town.
Bopper is the best guard baby ever.
I imagine Bopper
usually.
having a tiny predator mouth that does like this. That's what I imagine. I'm like, no.
Teeth.
Bopper will have an endless supply of raider fingers because anybody that tries to come up there will then have Bopper will have permission to eat the bad guys.
I just realized you're that person that keeps a pet tiger in their backyard.
Yes.
Yep.
No, I'm not. I have a Temianya. She's a little fluffy white cat.
It's only because you couldn't find a tiger.
No, they scare me because if you start, did you see Roy's face? It's not a good.
Oh,
Like,
but Bopper's fine.
Bopper's.
Forget it 4 years, and we'll see how fine that is.
Oh,
He's
my
big
God.
You know, if he becomes a big bopper, which he will,
Boomer
If he-
instead of Bopper.
if he becomes
Bopper.
if he becomes too
Bopper.
vicious,
Bam, bam.
his life will end like the real bopper, and he will go boom.
Oh.
No, I think Bopper
You're
will be fine
raising
because
him, knowing you're about to kill him.
Only if he becomes vicious.
well, the thing is, you know, technically, Deathclaws are capable of higher level thinking if managed properly. It's actually canon that there's at least one quote unquote sentient Deathclaw in the Fallout lore. Like they
Yep.
actually have a sense of self and awareness.
Sure.
Yep.
I think this is the right group to be associated with.
Yep. We have.
Oh
a
my god, what if
sentient-
Bopper learns how to use a gun?
Why?
Marcus is
Oh
to
my
blame.
god, and Chipper
I can't-
teaches him how to do it.
So
I know,
there are.
Marcus will take him out to shoot. Hashtag Timmy too.
Marcus.
There are
Marcus's
some
amazing skills teaches about.
That's true. Wait, did Ash actually shoot a gun? I don't think she actually shot a gun or like during a battle.
No.
Nah,
I don't think so, nope.
She practiced, but
she
she's
never had
stuck
a
with
reason
Bone
to.
Crusher.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she liked the Ash smash.
Yep.
So some new stuff that's coming out, like I said, with the Fallout 2 D20 system. It's gonna be some fun, interesting stuff.
Can I play Bopper?
I can't confirm or deny
Can I play
any
Bopper?
of that. We'll
I'm gonna play
see.
Bopper. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna be Bopper.
I already know I would like to do around the future. I have
You can play
character
Lady
ideas.
Luck, and I will play Bopper, and we will just go on our own little Lady Luck and
Oh my
Bopper
God.
adventures.
Oh my god.
Wait, what is Marcus gonna do in the future? Like
Yeah.
what
Marcus
would
is gonna-
Marcus done?
Gonna die. Marcus is a human.
Oh.
Marcus dies.
I don't know. He lost an arm. I think it'd be sad for him to die right away, but maybe.
He's got to enjoy that hand first of all, because again, I mean, he can't feel that.
Washing
hand.
hair is
strength.
difficult now.
I
With the
bet
metal
it is.
arm?
He's gonna take him. He's probably
But
gonna
he
spend a
can
little bit of
feel
time
that
practicing
hand.
with that. He'll help
Practice
establish-
away.
Help establish this little settlement, I suppose, for a little bit. But he'd probably want to travel a little bit. Just where he's
Yeah.
going. I don't think he's really ready
Catch
to
back up with Gordon.
stay. Maybe.
Be a
Although he
courier
might
again.
want to. Nah, he probably could. He want to stay away from Gordon for a little bit, just in case Peggy wanted to seek revenge. So, he may want to just avoid him to save his life. I think he probably want to go back to Hannah's to make amends.
Oh, why? You
Aw.
feel bad? You feel
Oh,
bad
yeah.
Yeah,
for
because
Oh, yeah.
Hannah, like you and Hannah were still on good terms, but she was like, everybody else get the fuck out. Like she
Yeah.
couldn't handle the
Yeah.
group.
Hannah was not
Well-
was just a poor victim in our escapades. And
I
thought
know. I felt
Marcus would
bad. Even
So
though
Marcus probably would have gone back there and tried to help her out a little bit.
Oh, I did feel bad.
Well, she
How we left her.
what's his face? Petra's stepdad basically
Harry.
didn't so
Harry.
he went Harry, there were two Harrys. So Harry, because there were Harry and Harrison. Harrison was so he ended up he was staying out with Hannah.
He's smashing
I
him.
remember that.
after
He smashed.
Ooh.
What was Hannah doing? And
Sex is a joke. It's
since he
did
couldn't
we
go back to Hub
ever-
City.
Do we ever know who it was that we brutally attacked and murdered? The guy and the robot, and we just brutally attacked him with no
Oh.
warning.
It was just
the
a
one
random.
with the Protectron.
He was
Yeah.
the one who basically
the
like
fight. He
started
said- he
stuff
said-
in the match.
He starts.
He did,
Promoting
he
fights.
did.
He was promoting fights, and we just went and killed him.
No, it was more
We
like
ran across from the road. And it's
he
like
rigged the fight.
legal justice.
He rigged the fight, and so prepared
you
to
guys,
die.
He rigged,
He
the fight
rigged
with a
the-
robot. You knew you were fighting a robot. How is
No,
that?
no,
he
no,
ri-
okay,
no, he
No.
rigged.
She didn't. She
Yeah.
didn't.
her
Remember?
hand- yeah.
Okay.
He
That was
rigged the.
why that relationship ended.
But like, let me
Listen,
also
here's the
emphasize-
thing. He rigged the fight. He rigged the fight, so Ash ripped
no.
his ass.
No, you're saying
Yes.
it wrong because that
Ooh.
legally makes us the problem. What happened was, right?
We
it
What
was,
had happened?
killed him.
well, we came across a robot that had assaulted Ash without
That's right.
Ash's consent, so we attacked the robot, and then he
Oh.
pulled out a shotgun, and we
That is
killed him in
true.
self-defense.
See, I love that logic. Yes.
You need to watch the video. We
Hashtag murder.
attacked him before he did anything.
Yeah, you
And
went
I
after that
think-
Protectron pretty hard. You were like,
And Ash made no differential between that robot and that man.
Actually, what happened was I think Ash went for the Protectron, and Clay was like, "I only have knives," and then I think Clay just threw knives.
Oh,
at the
yeah, you
guy.
did.
That's
You
what it
did.
was.
around and you started attacking the guy.
You
And couldn't-
did.
Y'all didn't even talk to him or question him.
that's-
He had information for
Like,
you.
we
I
didn't-
remember this.
We didn't talk to him.
Listen,
We
those
had
were
no
the dark
filter.
times. We don't talk of the dark
I
times.
just remember like, oh, so we're fighting now.
Before
okay.
times.
Yep, Clay just pulled out shuriken and started chucking him at the
Yeah,
guy. Like,
you were like, shik, 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 shik. You went
He
Ibuki,
was
full
coming-
Ibuki, this and that.
To apologize. The fight you just put on such a great fight. I felt so bad about what I've done. I was gonna change my robot to start going to town down to help people. Didn't give a chance to tell us any of that.
nothing.
Nope.
He
Nope.
might have been trying to
Yes.
changing his
Really
life,
murdered him.
becoming a better person.
Nope.
Instead, was
Nope.
murdered randomly on his walk
Nope.
down the street.
And
Maybe
how
he's-
much development could
Karma.
happen within like a half a day?
Guess we'll never know.
Just like Timmy.
Well,
I'm just
You know?
kidding.
You'll never know.
How will they know?
Hey, it's not the same as Timmy, okay?
It's
Timmy was adorable.
Hey, that Protectron was adorable
We were
too.
kinda
No.
we were kind of low
What?
key the bad guys, actually. If you really think
Not
about it.
low key, no high key,
Maybe it
very
was like
high
it, maybe
key.
it was, maybe it was.
We were
So-
definitely the people
Hold
who
up.
attacked random people, and they were like, "No, it's okay.
They're
We're
like,
against Armadillo, so
"Why?
we're not the bad guys.
You're the
They're
raider
worse
gang."
than we are. We're the lesser of two evils." So
Oh man.
What were some of y'all's favorite NPCs then?
Oh my wait, who was oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wait, Alicia, we remember we had a favorite that that April, it was the accent and I forgot the name of the, oh my gosh, I'm thinking
Oh
I'm
wait,
trying to think of the
you mean the dude that was like, "Get
The
out of
dude.
here"? That one that was like, that one made me laugh.
What are you doing on it? It was just this one character. I don't even remember the name, but I remember everything. Like I could not. I have to find that episode because I could not keep a straight face because
We were trying, we were laughing.
and
Yeah,
in my
me-
head
me
I
and-
imagined I have Southern family and it reminded me of like an uncle and I lost it. I could not. I was trying to look like typical
We were
Ash, serious-
crying. We were
Oh my-
laughing.
Oh my god.
We were like texting each other, going, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die right now," because he was saying something like, "I don't want anything y'all, so get the fuck up out of here," something like that. And I was-
Get the
Was it
hell
the-
out of here. And
Was it the guy? Was it the guy in the
crying.
shop? Right.
I think it was the shop guy, and
It
I
was.
was.
It was the. It was
done.
another. It was another. It was another reference to
Oh my God.
Dean and
Was-
Sam. It was.
Yeah, it was. It was. I think
he
it was
was
supposed
funny.
to. Yeah. Oh.
He was
Which,
funny.
to be fair,
Oh,
he's
he
one of
was
my
funny, yeah.
favorite characters
He
there
was funny.
too. But one of my favorite
So
NPCs was Dean because he like fell hard and fast for Ash and was just like, I will do whatever to get that. I was like, oh my god.
First of all, in my
Listen.
head, I was like, you set up the perfect trap because fan Brianna of Supernatural, like earlier seasons especially, I had a huge crush on Jensen Ackles back in the day. So when you said Deed, I was like, oh man, right. And you described it was like exactly the same. I was like, well, Ash is gonna be like, yo,
See, that's why it was one of my favorite, favorite couple of episodes, because I mean it was Dean and Ash, it was the hair washing,
and hair washing with Sam. Oh my god.
It was Caddy Peggy. It was
but I'm saying when you think about the visual, you're like, gosh dang it, I don't.
Oh yeah, because then when the next morning, like Peggy's awake, and so she gets to see Ash's like walk of shame, which was like, it was still, but like Peggy watching Ash like come out of there, like Peggy was like,
oh, I think Daniel said it. Bobby. It was Bobby. Yes, we lost it. It was so good. Oh my god.
But yeah, like that's why that whole scenario was just so good.
Yeah, that one was a really good one.
That's good.
Yolanda
it just-
was my least favorite.
Yeah.
Yolanda
Most hated, Yolanda.
It was your least favorite.
Favorite kill of the game was murdering that bitch.
Y'all hated Saffron that much.
I like Saffron, but
Wait,
No,
you
I
punched
loved her.
Saffron. What?
I loved her as a villain. I enjoyed her thoroughly. As a character, I hated her and thoroughly enjoyed murdering her face.
Saffron
was fun, yeah.
my favorite. I think was the most
And Tag.
like out of all the villains that we faced, bad guys of any capacity, something about Saffron just felt so potent, so like fierce. And I think you loved to hate her, and it was just great.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to hate her and just kill her, but you couldn't just up front. You're like, how do we get around?
I could.
Because she's the law.
I did.
Shut up, grenade.
I stabbed her. No, I ended up stabbing her through the hand with my bayonet, split her hand, and then shot her in the head. We don't talk about. I'm just saying, like, that's how brutal that ended up, and it was such a glorious.
Sugar learned from you. You went to Saffron with a grenade, so Sugar was like, I'm gonna walk in places with explosives because that's how we do stuff.
Also,
I loved that the entire time, like in Peggy's head too, just so you're aware, Justin, was like every time like she came up and like we're all hating on her, like Peggy was like in her head going, Marcus totally plowed that. That's weird. like
we still haven't. Did he?
Yeah.
We
And
did.
also too, wasn't she with Lefty? That was still kind of. I was like,
that was her character. She got around. That's how she.
I was just like,
that's how she made her.
Can I do? Excuse me while I throw up in this bucket.
You know what they say, right? Once you go left, you'll never walk right.
Poor Lefty. Poor Lefty. But he's like,
done.
She had to be. She saved me.
No
poor
words.
Lefty. Well, don't worry, Lefty. I blew her head off. And then gave her necklace to her daddy.
Oh gosh.
Oh, that was great. That was a good one.
One of my favorite, I don't know, villain interactions was also specifically when Peggy decided to walk in, pull the pin out of the grenade, hold it, while everybody's like, what's going on? Peggy's talking and Sugar's just there giving a serenade of music in this tense moment, providing background music to the most tense moment in their life.
Yep. It was, that was such, yes. No,
We might have been a gang.
Yeah, we were a gang.
Oh, we were.
Right.
We're like
at the
Sam
end of the
Crow.
campaign, we're like,
going town to town.
We might have been.
We became a gang.
Yep.
We are greater than any murder hobos. We
Although
are a raider gang.
We did kill some truly bad people, because like you gave Saffron no redeeming qualities. Like she ended her life with a lie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just to fuck with Marcus.
Yep. That's spite.
That's
another reason she was my favorite, though. She just had to fuck with Marcus.
Right to the very end. Yep. Like had to die still being like, haha, last laugh's mine.
Can we talk about how Tipper I think was the only innocent one. Did Tipper ever kill someone?
She tried to get us to go murdery in the once we.
No, but did she ever? Because remember the roles. The roles were never in her favor. Did she ever actually kill anyone?
Tipper has no actual body count.
No body count.
No, she killed the
No,
iBot.
she's
remember?
an assist. She's an like if you had to like build like a MOBA team, she's not healer.
So,
she's support. She's support. So she does stuff
tried
that helps
to
the
get us
next thing
into
to
massive
happen.
Fights.
But
She
you
definitely tried.
did.
It's the game.
You want like
It's
a
support.
But you
purge or
did
something where
kill
you
the
wanted to get in a bunch of
iBot.
fights.
Like you started, you didn't want to harm. Like
Oh,
at
that's
first,
true.
you were
You
like, I'm
didn't
not
bring
going
it
to harm robots. Like Ash.
That was a
stopped
big
I
thing
remember
too.
that.
That was a big thing. That
remember
was a big
that.
turning point.
And
wow.
then you were like,
Yeah.
this robot's
were a lot
hurting
of
my
moments.
friends.
Yeah, there
You
were a
like-
lot. Yeah. It's hard to
There were a
narrow.
lot.
And
Yeah.
down.
I mean,
I do
Okay,
remember
how-
the first. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, how about that time we almost murdered your maker on the spaceship?
That's what I was gonna bring up. I did like that moment, seeing that Jaredon was still alive, even though he was a brain. So they got to have that closure. Like she still loved him and like knew that the reason why she was set out was to find him. But now like that like recognition that her life had taken a different direction, so she's ready to leave that behind. Like the idea of like just searching for him and that's it, because now she'd sort of found a different life, but still getting to like connect with him for 5 seconds because they had to get on the ship was good. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
April, you did such a good job at the end, like
Yeah.
managing, because I mean, like we knew like running, timeline wise, like you did such a good job. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of stories like obviously we want to see Peggy get her gun back.
Yeah.
Oh
There
my
were so much more that I
But-
like.
There are more
Yeah.
strings, like, and I know, so we have intentions of going, but like really with that amount of time, like you pulled on so many strings, and like, I mean, you pulled the fate strings, and like we were all coming together, like to
Connected.
tell this story, and it was so good. Like you did such a good job capping it. I mean, capping and then ending like the campaign with us just like walking with these people, and like that was it. Like the merriment, like there wasn't. It was such a good job.
It's a good,
Yeah.
everybody's story sort of wrapped up
Because, like,
nicely, and then
even-
like you're left to think where they
Yeah.
you can kind of see where they're gonna go from there. Like they all have like what they're gonna do from
Yeah.
that moment. I was like, I want to go with them wherever they're going.
Because in my understanding, I think everyone got closure because Marcus got closure on his brother with the whole
Mhm.
Big John thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because we know he's actually dead.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
Well, Scorpius was the one that really was
yeah.
behind all that, as well as Saffron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, he
Yeah.
got to kill Big John too as a bonus.
That is true.
Yeah.
You mean Lil Johnson?
Big Lil Johnson.
Lil Johnson.
I have that paper. Like when I started, so I recently moved, but when I was packing, like I still have that paper, and I was like, I'm not throwing it away. It's staying with my RPG stuff. Like, Yeah.
That was
Ah.
so. A couple of you have talked about what you think your characters would be doing like after. So, what about the rest? What about the rest of you? Like, where do you see your character? What they would be doing now that all of this wild mess is kind of behind them, and you now have some time to breathe, and things are calming down, and you've gotten rid of the threat of the aliens that were controlling these vaults and doing experiments on people, and you got rid of the threat of the law being corrupt and dirty and taking advantage of people, and all of these different raider factions that were going to be coming together and forming this huge raider faction that would basically rule over all of Texas. What's the rest of y'all? What are y'all doing now that you have a little bit more freedom and downtime?
Yeah.
Any
I'm
Going to
becoming a
church.
radiated dragon.
going to church? What?
What?
What did you say?
What would Ash be doing?
Huh?
would
Tell us,
actually-
Ash.
Oh, I heard that something about radiation and dragon. Well, Ash would not be doing that. More than likely because of the fact that basically, after realizing that she has like an even bigger family now because Lefty and Pinhead are still around, really trying to make sure that they develop that new settlement where it's basically a safe haven for the super mutants who were also affected by these horrible experiments and what went on, and kind of teaching them. So she would almost, where she was learning by going on this journey with total strangers that became her close friends and like family, basically trying to make sure that they had a chance to experience the same, and learning about life and what a family is like, and all these things that she never got a chance to learn, but wish, like until much later in life.
Yeah.
And just basically kind of establishing that, and kind of creating a new beginning for herself, that where she's no longer having to kind of put these walls up like she did before. She's discovered herself, who she is, and now she's living it. She's living her life, and for the first time she can say that, having that fresh new start. So I think that's literally is like, I don't see it necessarily like with everyone else where there's loose ends in the same way. I think that if people happen to go back to that certain area where there's a super mutant settlement with maybe some other fellow humans who were also too trapped there. There were humans too.
Vault.
So if they stayed with the super mutant peeps,
making
yeah.
tequila, maybe
Some of them,
maybe making a brewery. Maybe they start making.
It's
Viking
hammer
beer.
time. Okay, I'm gonna just keep saying that because that's my hashtag.
That.
But yeah, no, like in my head, I see people maybe like where she becomes an NPC if there's any type of thing in the future. But I feel like she really did get that ending, especially when finding PinHead. I think that changed everything, and she finally like had her friends, had her full family, and they could start over together.
And I don't think you ever really looked, or I don't know if this thought ever crossed your mind. There were humans in the vaults with small children. Where do you think the super mutants came from?
Oh yeah, they were coming from those children. It was a breeding program.
Yeah, so I think that
Those could have
that
been
would also too be another thing that maybe
your parents.
So that's another thing that probably during that time is kind of discovering and figuring out and kind of processing, and that was kind of a part of it too, the trauma and everything that went on, and the different perspectives for those who did decide to stay, unless they decided to go elsewhere. Because I'm sure there's some of the humans who probably wanted to be like, I've been trapped. I want to travel. I want I want to see what's out there in this great big wasteland. Nothing but dust. No, I'm just kidding. I think that probably more of that would probably come out. So who knows? Yeah, but yeah, I think that's kind of how I see things with Ash.
What about Tipper? Where would
okay, just like, I guess, expound on what I already said. She definitely, because Marie exists and Marie has like a life and a shop, like I said, she would, after all of this, I mean, she would definitely keep up with everyone, and she would go visit Ash. Maybe they would even do something together, go with Peggy to see
That's true.
and the rest of them, and meet Stella. Like, this is actually has played in my head, and I see her meeting Stella. I see her going with Peggy. I see her bothering Sugar. I see her bothering Marcus, definitely. I see her going back and being with Marie, and like filling her in on her dad and everything her dad did, and then taking over the shop.
He possibly made it out. I don't know if y'all caught that when the ship exploded. You did see something come off the ship. So there is a possibility that maybe it was him, maybe it was the alien that helped y'all.
The girl.
You never know. It could have been the Robo Brain. It could have been your creator.
Also could have been, Sugar's dad, because Mysterious Stranger is always around no matter where.
That's right.
Somehow he made it up there in a personal rocket ship.
He just got his own ship too. It's like, wherever Musa going, I got his, my bad. They're back because I'm progressive in this wasteland.
We had nothing else left, and he was actually really like, that was the thought process behind having to pivot on who was going to be the Mysterious Stranger. Was your dad had a military background, and then he was like, you're going to be military, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and then you ran off and you did what you wanted to do in music and loved it, and you were really successful, and you never really talked to him again. Well, in the end, he was actually really proud of you and felt really bad when the bombs. So yeah, I was trying to pivot on that, and it ended up being I know I can't ever be the kind of dad he needs me to be. And I fucked up royally, but you know what? Now I can make it up to him by watching over him in the wasteland. And yeah, so. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, all the pictures, every time Sugar gets into a battle, his dad like finds a nice little cliff, gets into his sniper position, puts in one earbud, and clicks play on Sugar's recent album of Paper Mache Hearts, and goes, "All right, I got him for this time. Just waiting for it."
Does that mean that he's watching when you're going
Every
to
time.
church?
Every time. Every time I have to go
He
into
was
initiative.
there when you
he's there.
guys took care of Timmy.
That's I wasn't talking about initiative, but sure. I just meant, was your dad always watching?
Always. Dad has just got a sniper scope, just looking like, yep, that's my kid.
Oh my gosh.
It's awesome. Yeah, so there's a lot of like things just go through my head, and like I thought about like Tipper, now that like her secret's out, sort of, she like just makes like these amazing robots, and she sort of takes Marie's business and takes it to like the next level, and she's like known everywhere for the things she builds, and because she's gonna live forever, so she basically just makes things.
And y'all have Kaylee. Kaylee has your creator's manual, so you could create more
of me. Maybe she even creates a little one.
We don't need more Tippers.
Don't we though?
More like give Stella a real body.
You could create. Oh, that's how Stella got her groove back.
Oh my god, she does. She's like, we're gonna do cosmetic surgery on you, Stella, and then recreates her.
I kind of
wicked.
So
Stella gets a body,
and Stella hasn't met Marcus yet.
No.
And Marcus now is part robot.
Oh my gosh,
yo.
Stella's gonna fall for Marcus. It's gonna be amazing.
Marcus falls for Stella.
No, more like Marcus trying to run away like I Dream of Genie. Like, no, leave me alone. Like
I could see a Small Wonders little spin.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
I see it.
Master, how may I serve you? Stop. Slow it down.
Only in the 50s and the 60s.
Pour me another drink. Oh man.
Back when everything was just like as it should be, right?
I'm gonna put my foot here.
No?
You're gonna put here, thank you. Well, any other and Marcus, you said so what were you saying you've seen Marcus
Roman?
doing other than finding a new wifey in Stella?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that might change his plans, but yeah, I think like I said, to visit Hannah because,
Okay.
and then probably stay around, help that settlement piece a little bit, but he mainly want to continue traveling.
Yeah. I mean, let's say it's kind of the same thing. It's like Peggy would want to make sure that it's established and it's doing well, and like it's good to know there's home.
Yeah.
But like after everything, and like especially with like I think Peggy, any chance she got, like she would be like, yeah, like Ash is gonna come along and we're gonna go do blah, or Tipper's gonna come along, we're gonna go do blah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna go get my gun. We can bring Marcus. That way Marcus can have to listen to Peggy bitch the whole way.
I might invest in some type of earplugs or something.
But you know what I mean? I think it's kind of the same thing. It's like now she has like kind of a new, when Peggy was a kid, and I mean, when she was a, hopeful young teenager before everything happened, that's what she wanted to do. Is she wanted to travel. She wanted to see the world because she'd only ever seen her farm. So I think that's some of what Peggy would finally be doing.
They have cookouts and stuff now.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's where Marcus meets my sister, Stella. This is my sister. I want to introduce my sister, Stella. And Marcus is like stars in his eyes.
And she's a better cook. Yeah.
As long as Marcus doesn't have to change his name.
I'd like you to meet Mr. Marcus. He has a very prolific OnlyFans page, and it gained popularity. And now he has a name in the adult industry.
And it's specifically hair washing. Don't shame people's kinks.
Now that might be something he would explore in more detail, like getting that rolling, because I think that's what the wasteland could use to really turn the tide.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh God.
Well, any other thoughts or
Thoughts.
just memories or any other feel goods or
How about
whatnot?
you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you?
Overseer.
It was just okay. I'm not gonna
Don't cry.
I'm gonna cry. No, you already said that.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
Honestly, I put so much time and so just so much time into this campaign and into this game and stuff, and y'all showed up every week, and even when we had the little divergence and we jumped over to a different stream team and found a home with the initiative order, and y'all, I mean, we stayed together as a group and a family, and it was just really it just meant so much to me because I had invested so much of my time, which is very valuable. Time is like one of the most precious commodities that anybody can have. So I just spent so much of my time into creating stuff for this, and the fact that y'all didn't let it just die there, and the fact that y'all wanted to continue on and wanted to stay together and continue the story to its fruition, it meant so much to me, because it meant that that I was important to you all too, and so was this story, and that was just, it made me feel so good that y'all were having fun and enjoying yourselves, and yeah, that you believed in me and believed in this group and what we did. So I just really appreciate that, and it was a lot of fun, and I just really loved playing with all of you and getting to know all of you and building these friendships, and it's amazing what's happened this whole time, from the time we started this campaign till now. We all have been through so much, individually, collectively, and man, if you would have told me when we started this where we would be and what we would all be doing now, I would have been like, what?
No clue.
How did it get from point A to point B?
Yeah.
Mind blown. So I just really, that's been my favorite part, that we have stuck together, that you all have stuck with me and with each other, and stuck with this story and your characters. And
yeah,
It's
we
really
we
special.
love their stories. We love playing with you because you.
Yes.
I mean, even the models you built for the
Oh my
for all
gosh,
the
they
interns,
were
like
amazing.
you were like, what?
Dude, the sets.
Insane.
The
Insane.
sets.
Yeah, we were like, we guys, what?
And now
Like
you
the
all have your
detail.
minis.
We do.
Know,
Dude,
my
and-
first ever. I've never had one in my
Oh, boy.
possession.
I paint on my
Ever.
hands. But
Ever.
Dude, going to April's house and seeing all of her Fallout stuff, it was always cool to go visit, but then I'm walking by the mini shelf and I'm like, wait, what's that? And she's like, oh, nothing. And I'm like,
You'll see that soon, or maybe not.
yeah,
never
but
know.
I mean, just especially seeing it in person, because on stream it's beautiful, but
Mhm.
seeing it in person, dude, April is a badass. It is
Yeah.
so the details, dude, she paints pupils on her minis. I don't do that shit. They're stunning. It's good. I mean, they're beautiful
Yeah,
on
it's
stream,
art.
but in
Next level.
It's art.
person,
Yeah.
next level,
Dude.
seriously. Literally, when you would say, "Oh, here's where you guys are now," and you would just flip the camera on all casually, and I'd be like, "What?" Everybody all in the stream, because as someone who makes things, I have to I was always blown away by the stuff you did. So respect.
But I gotta say too, this campaign having had taken place basically during a pandemic, which none of us knew, no one could have been prepared or tried to understand how we would all get through the chaos that was the pandemic. But literally, I don't think at least personally, I would have been able to get through such a difficult time without having this campaign, as a part of something to look forward to, and that kind of teamwork and collaboration and experiencing all this for the first time, literally for me, mini first. It was extraordinary, and it was something that I feel like gave me life, so much life, and I'm so grateful to all of you guys and April for just the story and all of your hard work and everything you put your heart into this completely. And I think that's why we were so determined to see this through and to support you the best we could, because you really did. You were there for us, and you gave us something that we were excited for Monday nights. You know, we needed it, I think, all of us.
And like, honestly, after the displacement, like there was like this, like the whole divergence, whatever, like dude, there was a moment in time where like I was sitting there and everything that I had been doing was gone. It was all gone. Like it was done. And so and I was like sitting there going, well, I'm a nobody. Like I was in a bad place, and I was like, I'm a nobody. I'm not going to be doing anything. Like that's it. And honestly, like I mean, April reaching out, but then also just like y'all accepting me in is like, y'all, come in, like let's do this. Like that was, I mean, this is the show that got me to stay streaming, because there was a moment where I was like, well, I guess that's it, right? So I mean, that's like, and I mean, I've loved getting to know, like, honestly, I love you guys, and we've played, but like getting to know you all and seeing each other weekly, like it was a fucking blast, and I love all of you guys. Like that's been the hardest thing, is I'm like I see everybody now like every other week or occasionally, or like we'll see each other in we'll see each other in chat, like you know, in places, but I'm like, it sucks. Like that's been the hardest thing, is like I don't see you guys even, you know, most weeks. It's like, oh, balls.
Balls. But it's just something that too we discovered with and I think Alicia, you put something out, tweet, asking about how people deal with, like, you know, when a campaign ends, and a lot of people responded that they had never experienced
finished a campaign
and never got that type of closure. Yes.
So many people were like,
oh my gosh,
like, you were able to end one.
How does it feel?
That's right, Brianna. You're right. I shared with Brianna. I was like, all these people are responding, Brianna, and Brianna's like, yeah, I see them. They're all like, you got to actually finish a long campaign. Like, you guys are lucky. You guys are like, I'm like, oh my god. Like, then you're just really like really emotional then after that, because you're just like, oh my god, the weight of just knowing that. You're like, oh, people put a lot into their characters in long campaigns, and they want that wrap up. And I didn't realize how prevalent it was to never get it. I didn't know that. I mean, I thought that like you finished the damn campaign, but now we're seeing that you're actually lucky if you get to do it this way. You know, we were lucky we got to do this way.
Yeah, because you know, I still have a character that's stuck in a permanent limbo that will never get closure.
With everything that we were through. I mean, and that's another reason I'm so grateful for this, is because, like, I mean, there are characters that you put so much into that never got a conclusion, and so like, I mean, to actually and honestly, to see a character who I really thought I was like prepared. Like going into the Charlie situation, I was like prepared. I was like, if Peggy had started to drop, like, because I expected Peggy to die. If we're being totally honest, that's kind of what I expected, like, to happen to Peggy, was like she was gonna end up like taking him out in the sense to save her buddy. Like I didn't see it ending well, and it was like, if it had gotten to that point, like I had a plan in my head of like, okay, if Peggy does start to go down, I'm gonna message April and say, okay, hey, Peggy, if Peggy does die, can I say what she sees when she dies? Because like that's how certain I was that Peggy would have absolutely sacrificed herself. So like to see like a character that I kind of was like, this is gonna end bad, like even good bad, but still bad, like completely do the fucking opposite. Like, I mean, I was just as shocked that Peggy didn't blow the fucker's head off. But it's like
you surprised yourself, sort of like you surprised Peggy, surprised yourself, you know.
But yeah, watching everybody, like getting to watch all of the arcs, watching Ash become like super loving, and Marcus like just honestly becoming somehow kookier than everybody else.
Took Tipper's place.
Well,
Oh my God.
like,
Tipper became the most normal.
Yeah,
Sugar
yes.
Sugar deciding to continue to live, and then Tipper and then Tipper fighting herself. Like Peggy absolutely is letting Tipper keep the dress because like it looks great on Tipper. You know, it's just like
I forgot she put it on. I forgot.
you were wearing it the whole last
Oh
like
my gosh,
3 episodes.
that's true.
Last 3 episodes, Tipper's running around
On
in
the
Peggy's
alien
dress.
spaceship, you were in a
right.
pink dress.
Yep. But I mean, like it's stuff like I'm so happy
Man.
that I got to watch that too, because like again, I was watching from episode 1, so I was like still sitting there going, "Oh my god, Ash and Tipper are totally fucking different," and Marcus talks now.
Yeah, I was a fan watching you guys. That was the thing. Like, it's weird. Like, I was a fan of the show. Being the overseer of the show, I'm like, this is good. Like, where's my popcorn?
Yeah.
Like, man, this is good. Like, y'all are so entertaining and so just on in your characters. And it was just, oh, I loved it. I loved how much y'all were in your characters. Because I'm sure, we've all played in several other games now, and there's sometimes that you play with people that are just like,
They're having a hard time grabbing into. They're having a hard time grabbing their character, and you see it. Yeah, and you're sort of like, yeah.
And that can
Yeah,
be hard
but
too
y'all-
with one shots because it's you have to try to create a certain dynamic, and that's hard sometimes
It
to
is.
do within,
Yeah, that's
especially
why
if it's just a 2-hour like one shot. You're like, okay, we're gonna try to figure, so you're kind of figuring it out as you go, and then it finally gets that rhythm. But then you're like, wait, it ended, like it's the end.
over.
You're like, oh man, like we just got our rhythm. No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
just-
why one shot personalities or 2-shot personalities tend to be very 1 or 2 note, because if they're any deeper, it doesn't make sense because you're not going to get to it.
Yeah.
So they tend to be very, there it is, here we are, that's it. Whereas we got a chance to all go, whoa, 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 whoa.
Ride the roller coaster.
That's fun. That was fun.
It
That was
was.
fun.
Thank you guys, and thank you, April.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
I guess if there's any other last thoughts before we end it there, just
I think I do want to say, for the people that have been hanging around since like the beginning, thank you for hanging around with us.
Yes.
That means a lot that you came back and watched all the time with us. It does.
yeah,
It
even if you're watching this
does.
on VOD, like on YouTube
Yeah.
or whatever, like
Yeah.
we appreciate you
Yeah.
coming with us on this journey.
And also to the initiative order for you guys
Yes.
giving us a home and just giving us that extra positivity that we needed the most.
That we needed.
And yeah it's literally like I feel like what Taryn said is like I think I was almost at a point where I might have actually stepped away from TTRPGs,
Yeah.
but I'm glad that I didn't, because this was something that kept me back in and motivated. So yes, thank you guys for having that community there for us, and just still very much a solid community of amazing people, human beings. So thank you guys so much.
All right. Well, one last sign off. My name's April
Yay.
Hill. You can find me at stiletto_assassin on Instagram, stiletto DM on Twitter. Yeah, we're going to be doing some other fun stuff here on the initiative order coming up pretty soon. And I will be doing some other things on some other channels as well. Yeah, so be looking out for that. Brianna.
And don't forget, you're killing the social media management whole
Poor Modifius,
thing.
yes.
Okay, let's not tone that down. You can
Yeah.
brag.
And there will be yes, I am working behind the scenes on bringing some more Modifius streams to their channel. So that's going to be watching for that, because there's going to be some upcoming stuff that I'm really excited about.
Nice.
So yeah, Okay.
Yes.
Jamie. Sorry.
I am Brianna, but most of you guys know me as Utahime. I am a cosplayer, occasional streamer on my own channel when I'm not on everybody else's, and also to a TTRPG performer. If you want to follow me on the social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch at Utahime Cosplay, and Brianna DeCosta on Twitter. I just literally the other night started, we had the premiere on Cobalt Press for The Rotting Heart. It's a really, really fun campaign. It's 8 p.m. Pacific time for a little while. It's going to run on Sunday evenings. So if you're able to tune in, it's going to be focused on the Margrave Forest, their material for that. And I really love it because I'm playing this amazing Alcide, which is half elf, half deer person
So
who has
cute.
a Strix as a familiar friend, companion who, yeah, he's an owl but has human teeth. It's great. And also too, I'm also too a part of some other amazing campaigns. On Tuesday evenings, you can catch me on Ecrium Expeditions on the Red Hair Inn. Every other Wednesday on TR on that _D'Angelo's channel. And also too, I am still a part of No Turning Back, the Alien TTRPG on here on the Initiative Order on Fridays. We will, I think, be back with our episodes, I believe, in April. So stay tuned for that when we're back. I think some scheduling, because a lot of us are doing so many different things. There's some more announcements to come for some awesome projects that I'm going to be working on soon. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much. Again, it's been an absolute honor to play with you all, and I'm really happy that I know you guys, and you guys are my friends. So thank you guys, and many of you in chat. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Jay.
Well, Clay is who I was once upon a time, but Sugar is who I got to play. And I'm delighted to say, hey, it's Jay. Find me on all social media at casual creativity over on Twitch. Doing all kinds of streaming, including world building, my own anime-inspired TTRPG, Deep Breath. You can also find me over on Cyber Nation Uncensored, playing my super mutant samurai Kenpachi Yasuke. You can also see me every Saturday here on the Initiative Order, doing some live play mini-series for Deep Breath. We're currently doing Nightfall, in which the players have gone to a space station and finding out monsters are congregating on the moon. You can also stay tuned on other channels where we'll have a few more Deep Breath play tests and all. But you can find all that information, all details, updates, and videos on that at the website deepbreathrpg.com. That's DEEP bread THRPG.com. I'm also all over the places, but more importantly, I want to thank everyone here in this group for allowing me to engage in a way of signature storytelling that's different than D&D, which I think is what really made this phenomenal. Fallout is grounded in a more dystopic but grounded reality. It's less fantasy in the terms of what we're used to, and so there were a lot of human elements we got to play with in a way that I think was beautiful, and I'm grateful above all for being invited once upon a time by the overseer that said, hey, Jay, you want to be at this table? And I'm like, I got time. But most importantly, after the switch, going hey, Jay, you want to stay at this table? I'm like, I got time. And what a time it was. This surely was a great experience, and absolutely not casually at all. I love all of you.
Me too. Me too.
Now I
Smart.
guess this person next to me can go.
Hello.
Taryn.
Well, hey, what can I say now? My name is Taryn Hackett, also known as Warlock Valrook across the socials. I am an eldritch entity, but I'm also a TTRPG performer and a generally creative person. But I'm a dice maker under the moniker of Umbraloculus Dice, UO_dice on the Instagram. Enter in code initiative at checkout for 10% off full sets, just FYI. I'm here on the Initiative Order every other Sunday for Far Realms, our Cult Divinity Lost homebrew, where I am currently completely ruining what casual thought was going on. And it's beautiful, and I've got a really this is a really fun chapter. I'm also over at the Red Hair Inn every other Tuesday, being a hexblood druid who does not know who she is, but she's figuring it out kind of clumsily. But that's a thing that I'm doing, and I mean, I have other really cool projects starting up probably in a couple months. You should keep an eye out on the socials for that as well, because it's fucking cool. I am also officially back to work on writing my own TTRPG. Luckily, after moving in chaos, I've officially started hitting the books on that again. So there will be more on that as well. And I've got a little free time if anybody's got a long running campaign. Kind of sad right now. Feeling character.
We can have a ninth player in our home game, right?
Yeah, I would
feeling
love
some character itch.
Oh my goodness.
Dear God. But yeah, and I've got some cool ideas for future things. I do have an upcoming giveaway for the initiative order that I will be filling everybody in on now that I'm settled in. So again, you want to follow on the socials because I do giveaways and stuff, and now that I'm settled and not all over the place. And thank you guys, and I love all of you, and I already missed you. And thank you guys for supporting us. And Renee, I'm gonna get my fucking gun back. One more time.
All right, Justin. What about you?
Yeah, that is my name. My name is Justin. I am glad that we all got to get together to kind of walk, do a little jog down memory lane, because this was a fairly long-running campaign that actually got to see a finish, which is, as someone mentioned earlier, rare. So it's nice to be a part of that, and definitely glad to just spend some time with you guys again. So it's definitely an added bonus.
We're gonna drag you into something.
Oh yeah,
again.
yeah. You're not done.
You're not done. No.
So
we know where you
find
live.
you.
Well, someone here knows where you live.
Yeah, and if
you may not be on socials, but we're gonna find you.
One way
I'm
or
not on
another,
socials.
we're gonna find you. We're gonna get you.
yeah, I mean, if you wouldn't run a Star Trek game, maybe you would play in one because we've been talking to somebody that might be interested in running a Star Trek game. Anyway, so that's another conversation because Star Trek.
It's Star Trek.
I know it would whet your appetite. I know that's something that gets you going.
First tattoo, Star Trek tattoo.
Exactly. So maybe we can get you in a Star Trek game.
Yes.
Really
I
got
love the Star Trek games. It's so fun. Not easy, but fun.
All right, and Alicia Marie then.
Everybody, I'm Alicia Marie. You can find me on socials at Alicia Marie Body. I am a costume artist and a character concept creator, a writer, and an RPG performer. You can find me on socials all the time, mostly Twitter, because I like the exchange on Twitter. I kind of like the back and forth you can have with people, and because it isn't always about photographs, so you can kind of just talk about whatever you want. And I kind of really like that about Twitter, even though Twitter has its own problems. There is something about Twitter I really like, and also because it seems like the entire TTRPG community is on Twitter. So that's what it just feels like, sort of. Let's see. I have a lot of things coming up. Most notably is Demi-Plane RPG on Twitch, Children of Erte. We actually have, tomorrow is a session 0-ish, but it's going to be Adam Bradford, who's the creator, and the DM, who's Deborah Ann Wall, having a talk about the world she's created and about a little bit about our characters. We're all just going to be in chat, kind of hanging out and telling people about the characters that we've created. And like I said, this is only the second campaign, this one coming up, where I've gotten to take a character and build her out into a whole person with I know what her parents did. I know where she works. I know what her job's about. I know where she comes from. I know where her friends come from. And I did the same thing for Tipper. So it was nice to really jump into when this one wrapped, to have something big like that coming up for me to kind of jump into another character to build and grow into and have fun with. So I'm really excited about that. Bunch of other one-shots and charity things as well. And I wanted to say to you guys, you know what I think is really interesting? When we first started playing, we were all in a certain place with TTRPGs, sort of in different ways. Like some of us had been 10 years in, 5 years in, 5 months in, 15, 20 years in. But like seeing everybody now, like what they're doing now compared to when we first started playing, it's really fun seeing everyone's growth and all the things everyone's creating. And as for me, I mean, Brianna knows this. I actually got to DM a one shot on Hyper RPG like a week ago. Oh my God.
So much fun.
I've always had respect for DMs, okay? Because I see the work. I know the work. I see the work. But oh my God, a whole new respect. People do 50% of what you think they're going to do. So you have to constantly, like your brain has to constantly going, oh, well, I didn't expect them. Like I had no idea you guys were to climb on top of the turtle. I had no idea what was
improv.
No, I poured one out.
Yes,
Like,
and
the
yes,
turtle.
and
Like
yes,
I was like,
and.
let's see if this hill that we're on wants to drink this alcohol, but it wasn't really alcohol. But yeah.
It's like I literally have a new respect, and I have to say I'm totally in love with jamming. And April, you definitely inspired me.
PinHead.
Look who it is! It's
PinHead.
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 And so PinHead dropped in. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna be DMing more, but not until I finish these costume commissions and this sculpture. But they're all indie. I can't even talk about them, but I'm definitely gonna be in the DM seat starting like more and moving more because I had so much fun. It's so much fun watching what people do in like settings you put them in, even though it's stressful. So I do see April, after you're done, you must have to like sit and stare at a wall for like an hour when you're done.
It takes me forever to go to bed after a session.
You're like,
ever.
It's true. Your brain
You're
is
like-
just like, even as a player, you're like, shut your brain off, but you can't. You're just like, oh, I'm so excited for the next time.
Mhm.
I was revved up for hours after revved up. And that was just a one shot. I can't imagine so I know that for this, like we loved you, but I know like you loved being able to like see and like make all this stuff sort of work around what we were doing. But I still am very impressed at what you were able to do like every week for a year and a half. I mean, we took a little break, but come on, I mean, that's all we did. We typically took one little break, but yeah, I'm impressed. But I had a lot of fun with you guys, and it's amazing to see all the things that all of you were doing now.
I know. I love it. I love it so much. And it's so exciting. Like I said, if you would have said when we started this, where we would be and what we would all be doing now, I'd be like, what? No
Really?
idea.
Us?
No idea. Yeah. Like everybody's doing really cool stuff. So, but yeah, so yeah, again, thank you
We shall
all.
meet
Thank you
again.
guys so much for being at the table. Thank you everyone who's watching live, all of our friends that are watching live, and everybody that's watching on VOD and has, been through this campaign with us, and of course the initiative order, for bringing us in and making us part of the family. We appreciate that. So, so yeah, everyone, just have a good evening. And we will
It's
see
The
you
Last
out.
of Us.
Yes, yeah, we will see you out in the wasteland some other time. All right. Bye, y'all. Good night.
Bye.